know.
Welcome everyone, this is, I'm Tom Bushnell. I'm here with Sir Michael Gambon.
Oh, blimey.
Michael, it's a pleasure to have you.
Nice to be here.
And this is our first episode of Top of Your Game. That's what we're going to call the show. I think it sounds like a good...
Top of your game?
Yeah, top of your game, you know, like someone like you, reach the top, reach the summit.
Oh God almighty.
So, you know, I think that's a good name for it.
Yeah.
We were thinking of calling it something else, but I don't know if we should say it on camera.
No, can't repeat that.
Although we're uncensored, so we can say what we want.
You said something terrible earlier. Top of your game.
Top of your game, that sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Well, thank you for coming in today, Michael. And courtesy as well, I just wanted to thank the college, City of Westminster College here at Paddington. They've allowed us their facilities.
Lovely place.
Yeah, it's a great place, yeah. Does a lot of good work with students. We've got a filming section, theatre, so it's a pleasure to have you here, Michael.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's get into it. I wanted to start at the beginning, because the beginning is always a good place to start.
Yeah.
You originally, that sounds a bit coy, you're Irish, but you're kind of British now, yes?
Well, no, I mean...
Or you would always say you're Irish?
I would say I'm Irish.
Okay.
I was in Ireland until I think I was 6 when my mum and dad brought me over to London.
Okay.
And I had an Irish accent, which I haven't got. But
I
can still do it.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you give us a bit of your
I can talk like that all day. It doesn't matter who's talking to me. That's in my blood, the Irish accent.
Okay.
And that's the way I talk to my mum and dad. And so when I lived in Camden Town,
yes.
After about 5 years in Camden Town, I started changing the accent without realising what was going on.
Okay.
So I became English after about 6 months.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. And but I still go to Ireland. I still have Irish friends, Irish relatives, and I go over there. I do plays there.
Okay.
So I love it. It's nice.
Okay, so you're still fully Irish.
Fully Irish and fully English.
And English, yeah.
That's possible.
Well, we're glad to adopt you. We're glad to have you. We're glad to.
Nice to be here.
When I was researching yourself, we've known each other on and off for probably 8-9 months, something like that.
Yeah,
maybe a year.
I keep bumping into you in the street.
Yeah, I'll keep popping up, I'll keep following you. Yeah,
that's right.
We always meet each other in the pub, one of the local pubs.
The local pub.
Yeah.
So,
but when I was researching you for today, one of the things that came up, which was interesting, and I thought, I'll ask you from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
There was a part when you weren't trained as a classical actor, is that correct?
No.
Okay.
I had no training at all.
Okay.
No, but that was the days when you didn't really get training. I mean, I started acting when I was, I can't remember, about 1962 or something like that.
Okay.
I started acting, getting jobs, lots of jobs, and I never thought of ever being trained.
Right.
I mean, there are quite a lot of actors of my generation who were never trained.
Okay.
Ian McKellen being one.
Wasn't he? Ian wasn't, no? Okay.
Yeah, but now it seems to have overtaken everybody. Someone told me every city in England has a drama school.
Yeah, they need to be trained. You need a license to act.
I mean, my God, there must be an awful lot of people trying to be actors.
I can imagine there must be. It's one of those supply and demand things. There's probably not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough.
But there are too many.
Too many actors out there. Yeah,
that's right. So.
But one of the things I did pick up on that, and I wanted to ask you directly about it, was apparently, if I've got this correct, and if the source is correct, you gave us a CV. I think it was to be in a play, but then it was basically you kind of just winged it and just like, I've been in this and this, or is that not true?
Oh, is it? When I first
because I think I love that. I love the spontaneity. If that's true, coming from you, I think that's brilliant.
Wanted to be an actor, and I went to a casting director.
Okay.
I can't remember who it was years ago.
Yeah.
And he asked me, it was a bloke, and he said to me, "What have you done in acting?" And I started telling him lies.
Told him a bit of bullshit.
Yeah. Completely. I said I'd been in a play I even said I'd been in one in the West End. And he didn't seem to bat an eyelid, but that's, I mean, you can't do that now, but I mean, well, you could, but you wouldn't get away with it. I don't think I got away with it, because he didn't give me a job.
Oh, he didn't? Okay, okay. So it didn't lead you into, it wasn't your first one?
I just got to know people. I went to, because I'm Irish, I went to Ireland because I heard that Michael McLearmore was putting a play on and going to Europe with it. So I went over to see him, and he let me be in it. Only a small part with a spear. And we did that in Dublin, and then we went to Europe, all over this part of Europe. And then I came back and I did a play at the Mermaid Theatre.
Okay.
Just by being nice to people.
Yeah.
And then I was an understudy in the West End. And then finally I got into the National Theatre when it opened in 1963.
Right.
As a small part player, and I stayed there for 3.5 years. Okay. And then after the 3.5 years, I went to Olivier, who was the director who owned it, who ran it. And I said, I want bigger parts. He said, oh, whose parts do you want? I said, no, I don't want anyone's parts, but and I think he, by using the telephone, got me a season at the Birmingham Red.
Okay.
And I played leading parts there for a whole year.
Right.
And that's how I started in all this stuff.
And am I right in what I looked up? Originally, you weren't sure who Mr. Olivier was at the time?
No, I mean, I was very young and I didn't really know who he was. And I remember going...
that makes me feel better, because I know of him, but I don't really, it's back then, so... Yeah.
Well, he was sitting there in the rehearsal room and we had to audition for him.
Right.
And I didn't audition for him, but I did some acting, a little bit of acting. And I caught my hand on a nail sticking up that was in a shed somewhere. Okay. I cut myself during the speech, and he said, no, stop, and he rushed up. He said, you damaged her. I said, oh, it's all right, doesn't matter. He said, no, he said, you can't do that. And so I went home a bit depressed, and the phone went the next day, and I was offered a season at the National Theatre.
Wow.
But I thought it was only because I've cut my hand. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So would you say then, because something you said that helped you get along was you were nice to people, and you've struck me as a down to, as you see you now is how I can vouch that's how Michael is, unless you're completely something different, but I don't think you are. No. And you're very polite and nice people. You're very self-deprecating. You can crack a joke and see the funny side of things. You don't go around like a megastar.
No, I hate that.
But you are in many respects, but you're very just down to earth and being nice to people and I guess having respect and just kind of mixing in with everyone. It's got you far.
I mean, you act on the stage, don't you? I've done it all my life, but when you walk off the stage, you become yourself again, don't you? Yeah. And I try to be pleasant to people. I try not to. I try to be myself, who I am. But no big thing. Simple.
One of the things I've noticed as well is, like I was saying before we started filming when we met earlier, I was watching and re-watching some of Michael's work. One of them was The Singing Detective from back in the 80s. So I watched the whole series of that. It was a long slog, but it was great. It's really interesting. It's just there's so many caveats and vignettes of pearls of wisdom, really, philosophy and life.
Wonderful.
It's a wonderful script, isn't it?
Wonderful play, and it was 7 months to shoot it.
Yes.
I seem to remember. A lot of hard work. I used to drive every day. In those days, you had to bring yourself to the theatre. You didn't send you a car. I used to drive every day, and in 7 months, we shot the whole thing. Yeah. And it was really enjoyable and terrific. I'll never forget it. And it helped me because I got much better parts after that went out in the West End, and so that's the way it all happened. And it became. I spent the rest of my life doing acting and doing plays and television and films, and it just seems to. I don't know. I'm an extremely lucky person. I just. Except now I'm certain at age now, I'm getting old and I can't remember lines very well.
Yeah, you said about you have to give it the theatre because of the memories side of it.
Memories. So I don't do stage anymore. I do a bit of stage when I haven't got much to say. Okay. Or I do theatre or films with earpieces. Okay. So you get a friend of yours to tell you the line and you do it. But that's all quite recent. But I've spent my whole life knowing lines. At one point, I didn't have to read a script. I'd know it. Like when you start, you can learn a whole page in 15 minutes.
Were you just self-taught on how to memorise it because you were enthusiastic about your work and your craft?
Because you're interested in being in acting, then actors memorise lines very quickly, depending how old they are. But I remember nowadays, people on the stage, the actors have to learn the lines before they turn up for the first rehearsal.
Okay.
But in my day, that was never done. I mean, we always turned up with scripts on the first rehearsal and read the script during the process of making the film or TV stage. And we know it by the last performance, or before the opening. But it was much freer then, but now it's not like that.
Okay, so it was basically organically you could learn it there and then on the job practicing. And then by the time
that's
it's ready to launch.
Most actors learned it on the job until they got to the opening.
Okay.
But now I think most directors don't like that.
They like you to have it all before.
Have it all before, but I don't think it's very wise,
really. Really?
I think learning lines on the stage for a stage production, it's part of the process of rehearsing.
Okay.
As you rehearse for say 4 weeks, your constant reference to the script and what you're doing, what sort of man he is, what he does, all blends together, doesn't it?
Okay.
I think. Maybe directors are right in what they think about, but I don't like that very much.
Okay. I guess, and you can compare the two. You've had the two processes. You've seen it maybe change as time has gone on, and you see the value of the organic way, how it used to be done.
How it used to be done. Yeah.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, we've alluded to it a little bit. You talked about your Irish roots and your accent, but I noticed when I was watching The Singing Detective, and when I've heard you in say later things, your voice has become almost more of a vintage as time has gone on. Is that a deliberate thing, or is that a process of age?
More of a what?
I would say a vintage. It's matured. It's matured with age. It's like a fine wine or a cheese.
You get older.
It's still you. Obviously,
it
10,
changes
20,
tone,
30 years ago.
Deeper.
Yeah, now it's become really quite. I mean, before it was a great voice, but now it's like when you project it, it's like, wow, that's the Gambon. There it is,
Well, it's because I smoke too much, I think.
Okay.
No, don't take that. No.
Don't smoke, kids.
Don't smoke children. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
or adults. Well, if you do, you do.
That's something to do with your voice getting deeper. But it may be because I'm getting old. I don't know.
Okay, so it's not a deliberate. It's not a thing that you've practiced over time and being on the floorboards of the stage.
If you're on the floorboards of a stage, of course you speak in a certain way. First of all, you have to be heard, don't you? You know that the auditorium is quite big.
Yes.
And then the person you're playing might not speak like you.
Okay.
So you change your voice to suit whoever you're playing.
Okay. So you have to have that variation in your projection and your tonality.
That's right.
Did you weren't trained? Excuse me. You weren't trained as an actor.
No.
But did you do any kind of coaching or voice projection or anything like that for the stage?
Not really, no, I just seem to pick it up.
Okay.
I mean, when I first was a National Theatre actor, I didn't have much to say, now and again, a few lines. And you're listening to all these brilliant actors all around you in the theatre, in the National Theatre, and you begin to listen to them and you think, good God, and that affects how you talk as well.
Right. So when you're what's the phrase?
A walk-on, a small part player.
Yeah.
You then hear how these leading men and women speak, and that makes a difference. You might listen without even knowing you're listening. What's going on, and that affects how you work.
Through the social osmosis of those people at the top of their game.
Yeah, you pick
top
it
of their
up.
game. You pick it up. You're hanging out and learning from the best in the trade, and you become like them.
The tone of your voice, the rhythm of it, how far you project in the auditorium, all that builds up as you're standing there as a walk-on.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
In football, because I know you like football. You're an Arsenal fan, if I remember rightly.
Arsenal,
What was that? What was the funny part?
I don't know. I can't say anyway.
Oh, okay, okay. But yeah, many great players have said that their game's been improved by playing with better players.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know?
I'm sure. I mean, a footballer, a player at football, he's watching all the time to other people.
Mm-hmm.
He learns and learns and learns. I mean, a young person starting his life as a footballer will pick up all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's part of the same as sort of acting. It's not the same as acting, but that's what's happening.
It's how we learn, though, isn't it? It's the best way. It's like you can read it from a book, which is fair enough, but if you're there immersed in the
it's better
experience,
to read from a book. Do it.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Copy.
Do it.
You can even copy people in, say, in a theatre. Copy them, but you'll never sound like them because they're a different person.
Yeah, sure.
The copying can help you build your heart up.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You learn from people where you want to be, what you want to become like.
That's right.
And
yeah.
that's why now you're leading the front, and others can learn their trade from you. You know?
Well, they can. I don't know if they're learning their trade or not. I just do a lot of mucking about. They get on with it.
But I'm sure there's many out there that are working now and aspiring ones that will see you and see the work you've done.
I'm very flattered if that's
you know, I'm sure that I can speak for many that would have that one.
Thank you.
What would you say is your preference, or was your preference? Do you prefer the stage, film, television, or I know you do radio voiceovers, but the three mediums, stage, film, TV, what do you prefer?
They're all completely different, aren't they?
Okay.
If you really want the real truth, I prefer the stage.
I thought I sensed that might be your favourite.
That's where I've learnt it all, and where I felt I belonged, and it was where I was most happiest. The others, doing a film is a completely different thing, isn't it?
Okay.
It's not like that at all.
Would you say that differs a lot from TV as well?
I think so, yeah. The three things are different, aren't they? They're all brilliant to do and can be hugely enjoyable. But I suppose you start off as a stage actor, although I did film quite early in my life. But I like the stage best, I think, although I've loved being in films when I've had a good part, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said there is a difference, but I mean, first of all, on the stage, unless you speak up, people can't hear you.
Yes.
So you have to.
You've got to fight for space, for volume,
you've got to project it out.
Yeah.
You don't do that as a film actor.
Okay. Yeah, you don't need to.
You don't need to. The cameras are all working, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's different. And whereas a television actor might be slightly different again. And so,
what would you say that, I'm interested you say that film and TV are different. Obviously they're different mediums, but what the slight nuances that you would say how they differ for you, because you've obviously done them?
I wish I knew. I know it feels slightly different to be on a big film set.
Okay.
Like I did Harry Potter for years.
Yes, yeah. I want to ask you more about that.
Very important.
Bit,
but I was say different on that. Well, it depends on what character you're playing.
Yes. My
character playing Harry Potter was slightly different from modern drama I've done for television.
Yes.
But it all comes into your mind and your feelings when these things happen. So if you're making a film, you're doing that. You know films are completely different to for theatre acting, and also for what's the other word? I keep forgetting things.
So we've got the film, theatre, film, and television.
Yeah, television.
Yes. Television, yes.
Tends to be slightly quicker than film, doesn't it?
Okay, there's more of a.
Yeah.
We've got to get this done by next week.
I've just done a thing. Not recently, I played Winston Churchill.
Yeah, I saw that on Sunday. Yeah.
That was just 4 weeks.
Okay.
Of shooting, which is.
And you sang again in that one, I noticed.
Did I sing?
Yeah, a little bit. You were singing.
Oh, it's just sort of.
Blowing Bubble. Yeah, I'm Forever Blowing. The West Ham song. Yeah, I'm Forever Blowing Bubble.
So they are different, but they're all great.
Okay. In regards to films, are there any films? I'm assuming, I could be incorrect, but as a little boy, were you a film fan? Did you enjoy film, or was it more of a personal thing you liked to perform, or did you actually enjoy going to the cinema and films?
I mean, I went to the pictures when I was a little boy with my mate who was on the road, Camden Town, and see all the films, and I like that. I love that. And then I remember seeing Marlon Brando in a film.
Yeah.
And then I was with a mate of mine. We walked past a theatre, Yeah. And you know, in theatres they have advertising outside actors' names and their faces, and we'd just seen the film with Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
And my friend said to me, they're doing that inside there. I said, what? He said, acting. He said, what Marlon Brando's just been doing. I said, well, in there? He said, yeah, it's a theatre.
Yeah.
This was in London. He said, they're acting in there like he's doing on the film. I couldn't quite work it out for the moment. And he took around the back. He said, that's where the actors go in the stage door. They're like doing what Marlon Brando does.
Right. So that was one of your first
I couldn't. I said, oh, I said, they were in there themselves in there. He said, yeah, with an audience. So that struck me. I'll never forget that.
Okay.
Because I'm so thick, I didn't quite realise.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Well, I actually used to think when I was a kid, you say about the naivety of kids and connecting dots. I remember my parents going to the supermarket and my dad writing out a cheque for the weekly shopping.
Yeah.
And I used to just think, I think I said to him once, why don't you just write out for any amount of money? You know, you don't need cash. You can just write it on a cheque. Little did I know that it had to go and come out of an account. I just thought, oh, it's just a magic piece of paper.
That's right.
So that's
it was a bit like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on.
I still don't.
No, nor do I.
Yeah.
Make it all up.
So you talked about Marlon Brando. Did you ever get a chance to act with him?
Yeah, I did. In England. He came over here. He was doing a film, I think I don't know where it was, abroad somewhere.
Yes.
And part of the film was shot in London,
mm-hmm.
and I had to be a lawyer.
What film was that one?
I can't remember what it was called.
Okay.
But it's shameful. My memory is going. And I had to be a lawyer in all the uniform and the thing.
Yeah.
And Marlon Brando was in the thing, and I spent 2 weeks listening to him and talking to him.
Yeah.
He was a nice bloke.
It's a decent bloke.
He told me that he'd seen the film you mentioned earlier, when
the film was the singing.
He'd seen the scene detective.
Yeah.
He told me that,
yeah.
And he had a copy of the film at home in America, and so I used to talk to him quite a lot.
So he was a decent geezer.
Yeah, I liked him very much.
That's cool.
He was very amusing and he was a bit of a devil.
I like that.
And I really liked him.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting fly on the wall hearing you two talking. That would
yeah,
cool.
I was thrilled. And on the last day of the filming for me, I was driven home. That was the day when they drive you home.
Yeah.
And they drove me along some main road here, and Marlon Brando came past in his car.
Yeah.
And I was looking at him as he went by, and he looked round, he went. I love that. Because he's terrible, always mucking about. It was that like that. Anyway.
Oh, that would have, yeah. It's a shame. I would have loved to have met him and interviewed him.
No.
One of the
greats. Really.
Yeah, one of the greats. Yeah.
That's right. Truly great.
Well, you're one of those now.
No, you're I'm just a bloody old London.
I'll toot your horn for you.
Yeah.
I'll toot your horn for you. No worries. One of the questions I had for you, you've alluded to it, was I wanted to ask when the first thought came into your mind about the possibility of you being an actor. Did it come back to that point when you were with your friend and they said Marlon Brando's in
maybe,
there?
I remember going into a theatre and looking through the curtain, the play that was going on.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realised, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And I can't really remember. I spoke to somebody and they sent me to an acting teacher, a woman.
Yeah.
I went round to her house. She charged me a few bob for.
Yeah.
And we went through some scripts and she told me about all that. And I went back 2 or 3 times. And slowly but surely I got more and more interested in it.
Okay. So there were those first few moments when you were younger and then it blossomed and grew from there.
Yeah, that's right. You become obsessed by it. That's
right.
what you want to be.
You've got to be obsessed.
Yeah, but I think when I wanted to be an actor, it was much easier than it is today.
Much easier?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I might be wrong, I don't know. I think there are many more boys and girls studying drama now
like
in this country than there's ever been. There must be thousands of them.
Yeah.
And the possibility of doing very well are pretty remote, I suppose.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I guess it's got to.
Which is sad, really.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of talented actors out there, and they've got to have some serendipity or some luck, or maybe just sheer determination, something to get to break in. To break in. We talked about you watched Marlon Brando and other films when you were younger, and even throughout your career. Have there been any films that you particularly liked that you weren't in, but you thought, I'd love to have been in that?
Well, I suppose to tell the truth, if you're sitting in a cinema and you're an actor, you're watching a film like that, and everyone you watch you want to be in. You know what I mean? You say, they've got some deeply handsome man playing the lead, and how you think, what was I supposed to take that part? It was all rubbish, really. But I mean, you want to be, you go and see a play in the West End with some brilliant actors, and you sit there and I get jealous.
Get jealous,
I get jealous. I think, you're watching some.
That should be me up there.
That should be me up there. These people, these actors, men are geniuses, and you think,
I could do better.
I could do better. And same with film, you want to be a film actor or television. It's a natural human being response, isn't it?
Exactly, of course it is. It's
I'm
something
sure
that we want.
I'm sure every actor who acts quite well feels a bit of resentment when they watch somebody else.
Get the part,
get the part.
One of the big parts that you've spoken about before was James Bond. What's the story behind that? Were you offered it, or you were spoken to about it?
Not me, no.
What you were saying about Sean Connery getting his
I was at Stratford-on-Avon at the Royal Shakespeare Company. We were doing a season in London, in the West End. And I remember several of us were called up. I think we were all National Theatre players. And we went to a house somewhere in posh part of London. And we were introduced to Cubby Broccoli. Each of us. I might get this wrong, I don't know. There were 10 of us, say, in this room.
It's a good story, though.
We went up it's a true story.
It's a true story,
And we went up one by one to this office upstairs, and there was Cubby Broccoli, who I never knew who he was. And he said, now, this is about, what was it?
James Bond.
James Bond. James Bond, and we're looking for a new James Bond. I said, what? He said, the new James Bond. I said, I can't play James Bond. And he said, why not? I said, well, I haven't got much hair or double chin, and I'm getting on. Although I was middle-aged then. He said, yes, you could. He said, who was the famous James Bond?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. He said, look at Sean Connery. His hair's not very good. He said, this was Cubby Broccoli talking to me. He's got a double chin. He said, all we do is we can put everything up. We can have your things altered, we can alter your teeth. Very nice thing to say. I said, and I got a bit excited, I said, well, I'll do that. I'll play James Bond if you do all that. Anyway, I don't think any of us got it. They were.
Was it Roger Moore, the next one, I think, was it?
Well,
Roger Moore, was it? I can't remember.
He said that he'd just been burned by he said something about the actor who's only played it once.
George Lazenby.
He said that it was mentioned George Lazenby.
Right.
He said, he's just done it, and we want to get a new lot of people. So that was the whole reason why we were sitting there. Anyway, none of us ever got it. If I'd done that, I wouldn't be sitting in there, would I?
You'd be off at a Saint-Tropez or something.
I'd be Saint-Tropez, I'd be lying on the beach there.
At Bermuda.
I wouldn't be talking to a television set, or radio set.
You wouldn't be talking to me?
No, I wouldn't. Certainly wouldn't talk to you. If I was James Bond, I'd never speak to you.
There you go. Or you'd say, carry on walking, son, and then otherwise one of my assistants will pop you off. Pop you off.
Although I've got some
ladies for you.
I know the current James Bond. Of
course, Daniel. What's Daniel like?
He's lovely.
Is he a good geezer?
We did a two-handed play at the Royal Court.
Ah, okay.
And a little bit later, he became James Bond. I was furious.
That's my part.
That's my part, James Bond.
So Daniel's a good guy then.
Oh, absolute best. He's deeply handsome and a very good actor.
He's strong as well. He's fit, isn't he? Rugged. He's got a lot of beef on him.
Yeah.
Toughened up the role with James Bond. You hate him.
Yeah, big success.
And he's married, or he's with Rachel, isn't he?
Yeah,
Rachel
it's worse.
Yeah.
It's worse. Poor old bugger like me. Anyway, go on.
So it would have been James Bond, could have been one of them, but...
No, even it was a joke, really. Yeah.
Okay, but it's a funny story. But who knows? Maybe in another world, another time.
Yeah, no, I knew next life. Maybe.
Next life.
Yeah.
It could be you.
Could be the 100th James Bond.
There you go. Yeah. What would you say are some of your favourite personal performances, Michael?
Oh, that's hard to think about. I did. My memory's so bad. I did lots of good. I did View from the Bridge. I remember Alan Ayckbourn directed View from the Bridge.
View from the Bridge.
Yeah, that was a wonderful American play, and we did that at the National Theatre, and it transferred to the West End.
Okay.
And I loved that.
That was one of your favourites.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Sometimes you can walk into a production with the help of Alan Ayckbourn. He's a brilliant director. He told me to play it quite fast. Okay. Which I thought was a secret of getting it through. Anyway, it was a big hit in the West End, and I did very well out of it. And I do remember that quite clearly. And other things that I've done in the theatre, which I can't remember what they call, because my memory's gone. Unfortunately,
I don't know much of your theatre career, because I haven't been to. I'm more of a television and film guy.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, I've spent most of my life in the theatre.
Yeah.
So it's become the most prominent thing in my brain.
Yes.
I like it. But
any particular movie roles that you really enjoyed or gave you satisfaction being in?
Yeah, quite a few. Name some films I've been in.
Layer Cake is one of my favourites. I love that.
Layer Cake.
The Facts of Life. Can I be young
Daniel?
I know it was. Can you remember the lines?
People keep quoting when people see me, oh, you're Layer Cake.
I've got it written down.
And they say the last bit I said.
There you go. I had this at the end, but we'll do it now. So you were Mr. Eddie Temple.
Eddie Temple, yeah.
And you're there at the end with Michael.
Yeah.
With Daniel.
Daniel, yeah.
And the Facts of Life. And basically, if I'm quoted right, and you can repeat them back with me, you're born, you take shit. So can we hear them?
Oh yeah, you're born, you take shit,
you get out in the world, you take more shit.
You get out in the world, you take more shit.
You climb a little higher, you take less shit.
You climb a little higher, you take less shit. That's right.
And then here we go. And then all of this, something like this, I might be slightly misquoted. So one day you're in the rarefied atmosphere and you don't know what shit even looks like.
That's right. That's good, isn't it?
And then the last part is welcome to the Layer Cake.
Welcome to the Layer Cake. That's right.
Thank you. I'm glad to be.
Yeah.
That's one of my favourites. I love that.
I loved that being in that film.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten all that, but I mean that's right. It's a great last scene.
Oh, it is.
Siege, isn't it?
Yeah. And with the music. What's the music?
People repeat that to me when I meet them in the street.
Yeah.
They know the lines.
Yeah. It's one of your. It's definitely got the Gambon stamp of approval.
Yeah,
that one.
Good.
Definitely.
Good,
one of your other films. Obviously, Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yeah.
Dumbledore. What was that like to play him? He's so
and
maybe if we could, obviously there was a sad part that led to it.
Richard Harris died.
And you'd I think replaced Richard in something else previously, hadn't you? Was it a play or a film?
Yeah, I don't think I have, but I knew Richard.
You knew
from London, being around the.
What was he like?
He was great, nice, good bloke. He was a nice man. Well, I thought he was.
Yeah.
And he unfortunately died in the second Harry Potter.
Yes. And then you started in the third one.
Yeah, they called me up and I went to see them, and I was in the third one, and then I just carried on.
Yeah.
It's very nice. It was a joy. The whole cast, good parts.
It's the best of British, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had a great time. And you're not used the whole year, you know.
Yeah.
Each Harry Potter. I wasn't anyway. I don't know how long. You do a few months and then come back the next year.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's the phenomenon of it was, swell. It's a huge thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
the last.
Absolutely.
When was it? It was in the last.
It's finished. I don't know when it all came to an end. 5 years ago.
About that, yeah. And it went on for about a decade, didn't it? Almost, really. roughly, something like that.
Yeah, I came back. I died in the second to last episode.
Yes.
And then they brought me back to the Ghost.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, the Ghost of Gambon Pass.
Ghost of Gambon.
And it was Alan. It was Snape, wasn't it, that killed you?
Yeah,
in Harry Potter?
he did. God bless his soul. It's awful.
You seem like you were good friends with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I was terrible.
That's a shock.
Recently, yeah. Awful.
I had the privilege to meet him once in the post office in Paddington years ago, about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I bumped into him.
Nicest man in the world.
Yeah, to say hello to him. And again, he's one that's got that distinct voice. You know?
That's right, yeah.
And it's a shame, shocking. Bowie and then Alan a few days later.
Yeah. Terrible. Anyway.
No. Yeah, rest in peace, Alan. When you were, we talked about roles, well, some of the roles you've been in, some of the films you've been in. You talked about Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Were there other? Who are some of the favourite actors that you've worked with, that you've enjoyed working with, either just maybe just as a friendship or socially, or as their performance on the stage? They're easy to work with because they're so good.
Well, you know, I worked with 3 world famous American actors. Marlon Brando.
Yes.
This is embarrassing.
De Niro's one you've worked with.
De Niro, and I worked with the third one who's a brilliant actor. What's his name?
Was it Pacino?
Pacino.
You have been with me. So you remember the three Trinity, the three really?
Yeah. Marlon Brando, Pacino, and De Niro.
Yeah.
And I got to know the 3 of them a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's great. I like telling people that they can't believe it. Yeah. I remember those 3.
No, those 3. I mean, that's they're the 3, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Right. So that's something I can put on my gravestone.
Yeah. What about ladies, leading ladies? Some of the ladies you've enjoyed from a distance, or there's been many beautiful starlets you've been able to work with in your time. But any that particularly were, I don't want to get you into trouble anymore. But
oh no, don't get me into trouble.
No.
I will. There's many ladies. I mean, who's the most beautiful lady in Harry Potter? God, awful.
Bonham Carter? Helena? No.
And Bonham Carter, she's lovely, and
Hermione's
Hermione, when I was on Harry Potter, Hermione was
she's a little top, but now she's an adult. Yeah, now she's a girl. Yeah.
Beautiful girl.
Yeah.
So many names I can't remember them.
Emma Thompson's on there, isn't she? Emma?
Yeah.
You recently worked with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I did indeed. She's a lovely girl.
Yeah. I saw you on the One Show.
Dad's Army.
Yeah, Dad's Army. Yeah, I watched it this week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she was the talk of the town, wasn't she? And that all the boys were falling over her.
We came to nothing in that. She was the boss.
She looked like the boss on the set, on the film.
I just sat next to her like a crank, like keep my head down. Anyway, yeah, she's great.
Young actors that you've worked with, maybe the new generation.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few generations, but up and coming actors. Who would you say you as an actor see that you think have got real talent? Ones that you enjoyed working with, but you see that they could have a long, fruitful career like yourself.
Well, God, I mean, I know so many. I know so many actors, and a lot of them.
One that you did work with, I'd like to ask you about. Matt Damon in The Good Shepherd.
Yes.
Matt's been around a while, but he's still a relatively young man.
I was in a film with him once, and I found him the nicest, funniest guy ever.
Yeah.
A real comedian.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He likes to have fun. And
so that's interesting you say that. I wouldn't have known that. I've seen him on chat shows where he's laughing, but I didn't know he's like the kind of instigator of the jokes. That's interesting.
He can muck about a bit.
Okay.
I remember I had to. Marlon Brando was directing this film I was in America, and I was playing a gay man. And Marlon Brando told me, if Matt Damon was listening to this, he'd recognize it.
Yeah.
Told me to go over to Matt Damon and to go very close to him.
Yeah.
And to touch him. And I remember when we did this. I mean, I could hear Marlon Brando giggling in the back during the take, and then when I got close to Matt Damon, he started laughing. I can remember that.
What was the joke you said on Top Gear about? I think you might have been referring to something you said before, but Jeremy Clarkson, I think in your first interview with him, he said that you joked about being gay, and you said, "Oh, I gave it up."
Oh yeah, I used to say people. I used to say to people, I used to be gay, you know, but I had to give it up. I was forced to give it up. And they say to me, "Why were you forced to give it up?" And I'd say, "Well, it made my eyes water. Made me eyes water." It's a bit cheap, isn't it?
It's just funny. It's like one of my friends. He's gay, and he's an actor. He was in Coronation Street, and he's been in Lion King. And we joke about it. It's great.
Does that make him laugh? That one? Yeah.
It's just brilliant, you know. It's just brilliant, and he can tell it. Just laughs. It's hilarious.
That's mine. I made that up.
Yeah.
I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah, that's a brilliant joke. It's a brilliant joke.
I think I said it to
Lee, if you're watching, Michael, you'd love this joke. Yeah.
It was a journalist who was asking him.
Yeah.
He said, I forget what he said to me.
Lee Hornsby, Coronation Street, looking up on the internet.
He made me cross, this journalist, and I suddenly said to him, "Well, I used to be gay." He was saying something about gay people. I mean, all my friends are gay anyway. And I said...
so you caught him off guard. He was probably being saying not towards, and he's like, "No, stop."
I say, "Well, I used to be gay." I said, just to smack him more. And he said, "Oh, were you?" I said, "Yeah, but I was forced to give it up." And he said, "Oh, why was that?" I said, "Because it made my eyes..." He didn't even laugh. So thick. Anyway, forget it.
That is a good joke though, Michael.
Yeah.
That's always where
my best ever joke.
It's one of the, it's
it's down in history.
It is, it's definitely. Yeah. And talking of Top Gear, something else that made you legendary, there's many things that have made you legendary, but Gambon Corner.
Oh yeah.
Gambon Corner.
Yeah.
I watched it again last night, I'd seen it before.
I kept crashing the car.
Yeah, well you went round, didn't you, on the corner, on that last corner, and you lifted it, so it went on two wheels.
Yeah, up off the
and
ground.
then because of that...
I smashed into the wall.
Did you smash into the wall as well, did you?
Oh yeah, and then Jeremy invited me to do another one.
I saw you and you spun it round. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just because I can't drive, I suppose.
But you're a car enthusiast, aren't you?
I love cars, yeah.
Yeah. What do you drive currently?
Oh, I've got all sorts of cars. I've got an R8 at the moment.
Okay.
And several other things. I just like having them. They're nice.
So you like them from the... Well, they are cars. I love. I don't have one here in London at the moment, but I love driving. Yeah. Do you like them from the aesthetics point of view, or are you a tinker man? Do you like to fix and play around with it?
I suppose I like really posh, expensive cars, so that I can. This is just me, you know, I'm driving out the West End like that on a summer's day.
There you go. Yeah.
It's very expensive car.
Yeah. Like in a roller or a Jag or something.
Jag, and I look at people like that, just a shell.
Yeah. You might as well. I would. I would.
That's what I like. I've had all those cars, Jaguars and Rovers and all those expensive things. Anyway, so that's me for cars.
And I also read that you're a pilot.
Yeah, I had a PPL, not anymore.
Would you fly little like Cessnas or
single engine Cessnas? Yeah. Okay. At Biggin Hill.
Okay.
I got taught to fly there years ago, and circuits and bumps. You know what they are?
Circuits and bumps.
You take off, you climb to 1,500 feet, turn right, aircraft, then it's parallel, and go down the runway is here, so you fly down there, then you turn again, then you begin to descend, then you turn right, touch the wheels onto the runway, up again.
So they're like that.
You can spend days doing that. And it teaches you all the qualities of flying a little aeroplane.
Yeah.
And then you might want to do it left hand, so you take off the other way, this way.
What do they call that? They call that?
Circuits and bumps.
Circuits and bumps, okay.
Yeah, I did a lot of that. But now Biggin Hill's so busy, you can't do that there.
Okay.
So I don't know if people do circuits and bumps anymore. And then there was another thing I used to do, was I had to climb with the instructor in the aircraft, climb, pull the nose up, it would be 5,000 feet for this to happen, something like that. Pull the nose up, and then the aircraft starts, you turn the pull the lever back, the thrust lever, bounce the climb, start shuddering, you then go full left-hand rudder, so the aircraft goes like that, revolving down.
So that it's in a spin?
It's in a spin.
Wow.
So you put it out of the spin by
You are James Bond.
putting the right-hand rudder back and straighten the spin and pull it up, and it goes up again. And you do that twice.
Yes.
And then you do twice to the right. So the spin on the next one
spin each side.
is spinning to the right. So I used to love that, but I did it quite a few times, spinning.
Yeah.
You have to be quite high.
And that was just for...
That was part of the course.
Part of the training, part of the course.
Part of the training, but
Okay.
now they don't do that.
Okay.
They think it's too dangerous.
Right.
Anyway.
So how many hours did you, to get your license to be able to fly on your own, how many hours did you get?
Fly on your own, you have to do, I think about, I don't know, 50 hours.
50, okay.
Yeah, maybe like there's 48 or something like that.
Okay.
Whatever it is. And then you do the test. And then I had to go with an instructor, and he put a mask over my face.
You're like Zorro.
Yeah, two things. So, I couldn't see anything. I could see the panel in front of me, but not out the windows. I could just see the panel. I could see the instruments changing as I turned, the speed, and he had control. He said, "I have control," and he started turning us round. You know, we go right. I kept remembering. Now he's turning right. The aircraft turns right. This is beautiful. Then he's straight now. He's gone straight, so he's turned right. So he's going the right hand side. Now he's flying straight. I'm now turning to the left. You see the.
Yeah.
And he'd leave it like that for quite a time. And then he'd say to me, "Now I want you," he'd take the thing off my head, and say, "Right, you have control, Michael." So I am back on control. And he said, "Right, now I want you to take me back to Biggin Hill." Because all this happened.
Yeah.
You just left Biggin Hill, and he was doing all this to see if you could get him back.
Right.
If you remember the turns, I don't know if they do that anymore, right?
Okay.
And
so you're disorientated, really?
Oh yeah, completely. And then so I started looking. I started looking at the ground to see if I could recognise any places like buildings or something. And then I started to, and I couldn't work it out. And I kept looking at him, but he was just sitting there like that.
No clues.
I couldn't get that. And then I saw a runway in the distance, or some form of a runway. I might get this wrong. And I said, I started calling them up on my headset, the Biggin Hill people. Anyway, I called up this people, and there was no reply.
Yeah.
No reply at all. And I kept looking at him, trying to explain to him that there's something wrong here. And I began to do what I would imagine as an approach to the runway.
Right.
I tried to have speed down, because in the distance I could see the beginning of the runway. And he said to me, "What do you think you're doing?" I said, I can't. I was scared, shitting myself. I said, I can't find Biggin. I can't find Biggin. So, well, I've just discovered it over there. I'm just beginning an approach. He said, "Oh, really?" He said, "And that's Biggin Hill, is it?" I said, "Yes, I think it is." He said, "Well, it isn't. It's some other airport. It was closed after World War II." So he took it over and landed it.
Right.
But he was kind to me and let me on.
That's good.
I couldn't get back to Biggin Hill. No problem.
I had a friend that took me from, there's a little tiny airfield near Bisley in Surrey.
Yeah.
And he took me to the Isle of Wight for lunch.
Yeah.
And then we...
Isle of Wight's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, and then we came back again. I thought that was just great.
Yeah.
But I felt sick. He didn't adjust he's quite an old boy. His name was Ray, and...
Why did you feel sick? He wasn't bouncing around, was he?
Well, I spoke to someone else that was a pilot a little while after, and they said there's this little thing that you can adjust that makes it so you don't feel it. But I felt really seasick.
Oh.
I mean, I've never felt like that in other planes, but he was, driving along like Mr. Magoo in the aeroplane, and I was his passenger, and I felt...
You were bouncing around a bit?
I didn't even feel like I was bouncing, but I just felt quite cautious.
I'm never sick in an aeroplane.
I've never used it, but
No.
I loved the experience of it. But then the other guy that I spoke to said, "Oh, there's this little thing you can adjust, and it would have balanced it out."
Oh, I see. Yeah, he's mucking you apart.
He was.
He was taking the piss.
He was taking the piss. Yeah.
Right.
When you've been on set, have there? Because like we've already said at the beginning, you know, you're very affable and friendly chat. Have you ever had any blazing rows that you can talk about with, you know, on set with people, or maybe you never have?
I don't think I have. If I felt that coming, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, so you'd keep it in check.
Yeah, I'd keep it.
Okay.
I'd bottle it up inside.
Okay. It doesn't seem like your style, to be fair.
No, I'd rather give us a go. I'd get on with it.
Yeah. Okay. And what would you say is? You got any advice for young actors? We talked about it being difficult. For, you know, it's not an easy trade for people to break into. But do you have any advice for them?
I had advice if you go to meet people, try and be positive, try and be open, try to be confident, try to let them see that you're not frightened or you're not, you know, not affected by all this.
Yeah.
Go in to see people and stand straight, be confident, be easy on the language, and just the advice to give a young actors, the only one I can think of is show a willingness and an open desire to do this and be passionate about it. And
Okay.
that's not a very good thing to say, but I can't think of anything else.
So basically, have the passion, be open,
Be
a
open,
sponge,
have
take
the passion, and really want to do it, and do your best when they test you out. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard. I know it's hard, and kids get disappointed about all this business. It must be awful. I'm just a lucky bloke who's gone through acting life, just like that. Now it's coming to an end. Not really.
Not yet.
Not really.
Not yet.
Not yet.
One of you spoke about it, and I watched it on. Actually watched the repeat Sunday. Churchill. What was it like playing Winston?
Well,
the great man.
It's not a question of you play your impression of Winston Churchill was like.
Yes.
You know, how he spoke slightly, how he walked, what his movements were like, the way he talked. And I mean, in this one, it's a bit easier because from the beginning of the play, you see me in an office and I collapse. I've had a stroke.
Yeah.
And so the stroke goes on for half the play.
Yeah. And
then you start reviving and speaking and talking and everything changing back to what you were before. And I had a brilliant director. And
who was the director of that?
I've just had dinner with him last night. That shows you what state I'm in, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway.
But he's a great director.
And everyone knows he is. And awful not reverend. Anyway, it was just a 4-week shoot.
4 weeks, okay.
Yeah, I had loads of the cast were my friends.
Yeah, what's his name? The Scottish boy. What's his name? He was in.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
I know, yeah, he was in.
He's my mate.
He's in Dad's Army.
Yeah.
He's in that, and he's also in The Singing Detective with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's shocking, isn't it? But I'm getting so old. Anyway, that was a joy to do.
Yeah, it looks a lot of fun, that one.
And that was just recently, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you were on the Radio Times, weren't you? On the front of it. Yeah, I saw you. I was like, I'll be seeing Michael next week, and I saw you on the front of it. Dad's Army is another one that you've just done.
Yeah, did that before.
Okay.
And
that again looked a lot of fun.
Well, just with all my friends, I knew most of people. And that we went to Aldborough for the shoot. Was it Aldborough? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Not sure actually.
And we had a long shoot.
I know that the part of it was on the cliffs of Dover.
Yeah.
I remember that part.
Freezing weather, dressed in all those.
You were Sergeant Godfrey?
I was, no, not Sergeant.
Just Godfrey?
Godfrey.
Just Godfrey, you weren't a sergeant, okay.
Yes, he's not a sergeant. And Godfrey doesn't really know what's happening. You know, he's a bit slow on pickup.
Yeah.
You know, when they say left turn, he turns right. You know,
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. We had some fun.
Any things that you're working on right now that you can
No,
tell us
I've
about?
offered a few things, but I don't know what to do. I have to let someone else decide for me.
Do you have an agent that helps you with
I'm
those
an
sorts of
agent.
things?
He's very posh and very intelligent.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what to do.
Do you, this might sound a silly question, but I wanted to grasp kind of where the industry's at. Do you ever have to audition for any roles now, or is it, they know exactly,
They know.
we want Michael, we want him
They
in?
know
Yeah.
I'm a bird who can't act, so they just put me in, don't they? No, they don't. I don't.
But they wouldn't say, for instance,
Yeah.
yourself and say Surya McKellen,
Yeah.
and they're like, we've got this role,
Yeah.
and we're picking between the two.
They
Would they
wouldn't-
ever say,
No,
just come and do it?
They wouldn't even pick.
They would just,
They know.
right, we're going to go with one or the
right,
other.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't do that.
That, I thought that's probably works out when you boys get to your level in life,
Yeah.
you know?
No, they wouldn't do that. They just ring you up.
Okay.
They'd say, we don't want that Gambon bloke, he can't act. So Ian, we want you to play this part. We don't want that Gambon. And then Ian McKellen might even sing a video of me, and he might say, oh please, take Michael. We all know he
They
can't.
give it to Michael.
We know he can't act, but just take him, please. 'Cause no, we want you. Oh, all right then. How much will I get? You get 2 million quid. Oh, I'll do it. Thank
I'll
you.
do that one. Yeah, there you go.
I hate him. I'm only joking.
What was it like? We talked about Serb. Both of you are Serbs. What was it like becoming a Serb when you met Our Lady?
Well, no, it's very nice. You just, you know.
They write to you. They call you. You know it's going to happen.
You get a letter. You're telling you that you've been recommended. You mustn't tell anyone.
Okay.
You're not allowed to tell anyone, and you.
So there's a little bit of maybe a test there. It's like we're going to keep it hush.
Oh, they do
you know.
keep it hush.
Yes, but you have to keep it hush.
Yes, and then the day comes when you go to Buckingham Palace, and you get. I got a CBE first.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you wait another 10 years, and you get a knighthood. Very nice.
So is that what it is? You get CBE and it's automatically.
Well,
in
not
most
automatic,
cases,
I don't think.
but you have to wait 10 years.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the rule is. I know I waited about. Well, I didn't know what was going to happen. So, I think about 6, 7 years later, I got another letter saying I got a knighthood.
Okay.
Which is very pleasant and all that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do Knights of the Realm? Do you have meetups like maybe every 5 years or something?
No.
Okay.
Never ever.
So it's basically you come along and you. Do they call it investiture? Is it, or I don't even know the name of it? But you meet the Queen and you kneel.
Yeah,
and
you kneel down and you bow to the Queen, and she says, "Well done to you," whatever she says, and then you go off, and that's it.
Okay.
You put your hat on and go
in the club.
Yeah.
Going back to the singing detective, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was the makeup. Obviously, anyone that's not seen the singing detective, basically Michael is a character that's in a hospital. He's got severe psoriasis, I guess is the word, of the skin, and it's quite a vivid image when you first see your character in the bed. And then there's these flashbacks of, you know, you're an author and writer, etc. I won't ruin the story, but then there's a lovely part, kind of an unwritten love romance between you and the nurse.
That's right, yeah.
And
well, he fancies the nurse.
Yeah, well, you can see why. You know.
Yeah, a beautiful girl. I wish I could.
What's her name? Julie Whiteley. June Whiteley, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. And,
but that's written in the script. All that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's when she's dressing.
Yes.
That goes on.
Yeah, and there's quite a famous part that she's having to. Well, a famous part, and the pun, no pun intended, but she's dressing you. You've got all the cream. It's all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then there's a bit where.
There's a rude bit.
There's a rude bit, a saucy bit, an English humour bit.
Yeah,
you know.
the audience don't see that.
Right? No.
She's just talking to him, and he's getting embarrassed. But I can't even remember that scene. But it's a brilliant show.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And all the things you're saying to stop yourself.
There's a whole list of words.
Being aroused by the.
Keep the sexual arousal down.
Yes. And you're saying things like, I think Margaret Thatcher,
yeah,
Queen's Park Rangers, Plastic Pitch, all these little cold words, yeah.
That's right.
And it's just one of the many funny gems in that show.
I wish I could remember anything.
It's on. I think you can get on the big. Well, I watched it on YouTube.
Oh,
it's on there. Yeah,
you can watch all those things.
You can do, yeah.
You don't have to pay.
Not on the YouTube, you don't.
Oh.
No, but I think you can. I think you can get it maybe DVD on Amazon or things like that. But you can. It's out there. It is out there.
Oh.
I'll send you a link
Oh,
so you can. Your hobbies. Just wanted to close because obviously you're known for your acting. We've talked about your driving of cars, flying aeroplanes. What are some of your other passions? I know I don't know if you still do, but you like doing things with clocks, making clocks, if that's right.
Yeah, I used to be a bit of an engineer.
Okay.
I love all that sort of thing, making things out of steel.
Yes.
And so that's the sort of thing I just knock up now and again.
So steel, like welding and things like that?
Welding, yeah. I'm not very good at welding.
Okay.
I have to be careful. I'm very good at machine tool work.
Yeah.
But I don't talk about that to people. They know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So,
but that's one of your loves. That's one of your passions.
I have an obsession with making things in steel.
Okay. And this is maybe an obscure question to finish on, but I've noticed that you have your ring on your father finger.
Yeah.
And I noticed that was in the Singing Detective as well.
Yeah.
Is that the same ring, or is there any?
I think so. I mean, that's me mum. That's me dad, and that's me mum.
Ah, lovely.
I've always had them.
I wondered because I noticed you wore the ring back then.
Wow, I see. Wow.
Yeah, and
because my dad had died then. My dad died quite early.
Okay.
And so I nicked his ring, and that when my mum died, I nicked her ring.
So that's what
I've
that
always
is
worn.
then. Yeah. But I've always noticed.
It's usually because I forget to take them off.
Yeah, you have it usually in the things I've seen. You have it there on your small finger on your left
nice,
hand.
Isn't it?
It is. I thought there might be something significant to that. Mum and Dad. That's beautiful. That's a lovely way to finish.
Nice. There's my mum and dad ring.
There's Mum and Dad. There you go. What were their names?
Mary, my mum, and my God, this is terrible. My dad, Edward.
Edward. Okay.
Edward.
Mary and Edward.
Mary and Edward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. I feel very privileged
God
to.
bless you. I'm sorry, I'm not very clear in talking.
No, you're fine. Totally fine. This is why we love you.
Oh God.
This is why we love you.
Be good. Learn your lines.
Because learn your lines, but
hard.
he's right at the top of his tree, and
keep a straight back.
This is we love.
Don't muck about. Don't tell fibs.
Don't say anything naughty.
If they want you to, if you want to play a good part in a play or a film, say you've already done that sort of work. You know. They might fall. They might fall for it.
They won't look up on YouTube or Google.
I've already played Laurence Olivier's parts.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
We got it on.
We'll see you again.
Yeah. See you soon. I want to pee now. I bet you need a pee as well.
Hello, mate.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tom Numbers Show. Subtitle is Top of Your Game in association with Sight Club. People will know me from my Sight Club channel. I do the numbers. But I have a very special guest with me today for everyone. It's Mr. Matthew Le Tissier, Le God, as he was nicknamed at Southampton at the Dell and at the Merry Stadium. Matt, how are you, sir?
All good, thanks, mate. Yeah, can't complain. And you?
Yeah, very good, very good. We did a little episode a few weeks ago together with Scott, and we thought we'd follow it up with a more in-depth conversation with yourself about football and your career and life, and you know, things that interest you and things that go on. But I always like to start the show with a little bit of numbers. Some people will know what I'm talking about, and new viewers that maybe find the channel through Matt and are pure football fans may not understand
we're talking about when we talk about numbers. So I prepared a few little things for you, Matt, that I think you'll personally enjoy. So numbers, or gematria, which is the technical name for it, is very simple. It's A is the first letter of the alphabet, so therefore it equals 1. B is the second letter, so therefore it equals 2. C is the third, equals 3. D equals the fourth, so therefore 4. All the way through to Z or Z, which is the 26th letter. And what you can do is you can work out the numerical value of words, people, places, names, favourite teams, sports, all those kinds of things. And I prepared, just before we kind of go into the main flow of it, Matt, I've prepared a couple for yourself. So your name is Matt Le Tissier, and that comes to 170 when you work out the numbers. That also comes to a bolt of lightning, which is, I always talk about Back to the Future. I think it's a great film series. We might get into some of your favourite films later on down the line. But you were literally a bolt of lightning. You struck passion and enjoyment and excitement into the beautiful game. But this is the bit I think that's really appropriate for you, Matt. So the word football is 83. The word artist is 87. If you do 83 plus 87, football artist, it comes to 170, which is Matt Le Tissier. Mm-hmm. So I found that one and I thought, oh, wow, I'll share that with Matt when we kick off the show. And there is magic in the numbers, you know.
Indeed, it seems that way.
It does. I was actually with Simon Jordan yesterday. And he said to say hello, he said to give a shout out to you. And you'll know that Simon is on the Talk Sport show. So Talk Sport comes to 132 and Simon Jordan comes to 132. So there's another little bit of it as well. So this keeps going on and on and on. And I got to ask Simon a question. He did Oxford yesterday, and I asked him a question about Trump and politics and leadership. And interesting enough, the word Trump is 88, but it also comes to sport. Sport is 88, Trump is 88. So anyway, I thought that'd just some nice kind of little bit of brain candy for people to go over. But Matt, I wanted to dive into your career. And one of the things I don't know if I've asked you this in the past, but you were born in the Channel Islands. You grew up in the Channel Islands. Yep. And your career, you played for Southampton and you played with England. Now, this might sound a little controversial, but I want to kind of get your perspective from it and dive into it. So technically, you may have been able to play. It might be myth, but you can put me wrong if you can put me right if it's incorrect. But you may have been able to play perhaps for France instead of England. Is that true, or is that just myth?
That's a myth.
Okay.
I never had any French ancestry.
Okay.
Not for many hundreds of years. So, I didn't qualify to play for France. However, being from Guernsey, I did qualify for any of the home nations.
Oh, okay. So you could have played for Wales, Scotland, Ireland and Northern Ireland? Or just Northern Ireland?
Just Northern Ireland it would have been, yeah, technically.
Okay. So the France thing is cleared up. The French thing is cleared up. But I quite often do this. I'll watch some of my favourite players from the past and watch their goals, and I've been doing that recently again with yourself. And one of my go-to favourites again is Zidane. Now, when I'm looking at Zidane playing and how he could dictate matches and how he could slow everything down, very similar to yourself in a Le Tissier kind of style, would just pull the ball out of anywhere, control it, do a turn, a swivel, a jink, a trick, and then a shot or a pass. So someone like him is inspiring, and someone like you was inspiring for people that loved the game, when we were younger. Still love it now, but there seems to be a slight difference between maybe players kind of your time and Zidane's time. But have you ever got to play with him in a charity game or anything like that? Because I think it would have been wonderful to see the two of you on the same pitch. Yeah,
sadly not. No, it would have been nice because obviously he was an outstanding footballer, one of the world's best. So it was a shame I never got to do that.
Are there any others that people may not know that you played with, but you played kind of in exhibition games and things like that? Others of that sort of calibre.
I think I played in an exhibition game once with, remember Carlos Valderrama, the Colombian with all the big...
Yeah, the Colombian Rude Hullet, yeah.
Yeah, so I played in Peter Shilton's England testimonial match at White Hart Lane. I was only a kid. I was probably only 21. I would have said maybe not even that old. Maybe, but yeah, I was quite young. But Peter asked me to go and play in it, and he had some big names probably playing that day. But he was the one that stood out because of his hair. But I can't remember who all the other players were.
Yeah, he had that kind of jig, didn't he? That and was it René Higuita, the goalkeeper as well, that was quite flamboyant for Colombia as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
it was. Who else? I played against Lothar Matthäus.
Did you?
In a charity game. I don't know if you remember. Actually, it was a game. I'm pretty sure it was Lothar Matthäus. It was a game against England against Germany, but it was like a celebrity thing. But Boris Johnson actually played in it.
Did he?
And it was the game where it's quite a famous clip where he loses his balance. He's going to tackle one of the German players. He loses his balance and he staggers forward and he ends up going head first into the German guy's stomach. And it was like a rugby tackle on him.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that was against a select German side. Okay.
Yeah, so I played in that game. So yeah, that was quite funny. Yeah, so I've been on the same team as Boris Johnson, which if I'd have known then what I know now.
I didn't get to play with him, but I met so shortly after the Olympics in 2012, Boris gave a speech and address actually in Trafalgar Square, and I went along to it, and then he was just mingling with the public and got on his bike. I got a little selfie with him. But yeah, I didn't know the future either. But and actually, he literally got on his bike. He had I guess his assistant with him who held the bike, handed it to him, and literally he jumped straight on it and then straight into. He didn't even look over his shoulder to see any oncoming traffic. It went and he whizzed right up St Martin's Lane and off he went, like this kind of big kind of polar bear character with the big Parker coat, and off he went. So that wasn't PR about the bike. He literally did use it. So yeah, he was quite a force of nature when he got on it. What year would that have been then when you played in that?
That was after I retired. So that would have been that was around 2006, I reckon, something like that.
Okay. What year did you retire, Matt?
2002.
2002. Okay.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago.
Yeah, May 2002. Yeah, so it'd be 20 years this May.
Coming up in May. Okay. So the subtitle of the show, like I said, it's the Tom Numbers Show, top of your game. So what would you put down your ability came? Where would you say your ability to play at that top level came from?
I came from quite a sporty family. So my mum's three brothers were all good footballers. One of them played semi-pro over in England for a short time. My dad was a good footballer. He had a trial at Arsenal as a 19-year-old. My three older brothers were all very good footballers. Two of them turned down chances to become professionals with Oxford and Southampton. And so it was kind of in the genes, really. And I kind of just grew up. My whole childhood was basically sport and school, and that was it.
Okay.
So if I wasn't at school, I was playing sport of some description. So I played a lot of sports. I was pretty good at cricket. If I hadn't been a footballer, I think I would have tried to have been a cricketer. Would have been my second choice.
Yeah.
But I played all ball sports. Oh, I've lost you.
Yeah, I'm back again. Sorry about that. So I didn't know that about your brothers. I know that they were good, but was there a specific reason they declined to not go pro?
Yeah, they didn't want to leave the island. They got homesick.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool place to grow up because it's probably like the most safest environment you could bring kids up in.
Yeah.
but it's very close knit, and it is a bit of a wrench to get away from it, to be honest. And I struggled a little bit for a few months when I first came over.
Yeah.
But my desire to be a footballer was so great that I got over it.
Do you think your brothers could have been as good as you if they had have played?
They'll tell you they were better than me.
Yeah, it's like Beckham's dad says he's better than him, wasn't it? That's that was old Ted Beckham used to like pulling that one out.
So I would have said my brother Kevin, who set all through his football career locally in Guernsey, set all sorts of records. He averaged a goal a game over about a 20-year period. So he was like an Alan Shearer type centre forward.
Okay.
And then my brother Carl was a creative midfielder, who also had a good eye for goal. I think he's the top scorer midfielder in Guernsey history. So they were both pretty good in their own right. And what I like to tell the both of them is that Kevin was a very good centre forward, Carl was a very good midfielder, and I had the best of both of them. There you
go. And are they older than you, Matt, or are you?
Yeah, Carl's 4 years older and Kevin's 6 years older.
Okay, so it's the three brothers basically.
My eldest brother Mark, who's 7 years older than me, he was the only defender out of the four of us, and he was the only left footer out of the four of us as well. And he didn't quite get the recognition that everyone else got because we were always scoring goals. And he was just a stopper at the back, but he could play a bit as well, to be fair to him.
So you're the youngest of the four boys?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. It's interesting as well that you just mentioned Alan Shearer. And Alan obviously was a great goal scorer for Blackburn, for Southampton, for Newcastle and for England. I was actually watching a previous podcast from a few years ago last night with him, and he mentioned you on the Geordie. Is it the Geordie talk show? The Geordie,
oh, yeah.
Great Geordie show. Yeah, so he was mentioning playing with yourself. But Shearer, the word Shearer, interesting enough, comes to 74, which is gematria. So anyway, it's another little bit of numbers that pops in when I talk to people, when I'm talking to you, and it comes to mind. So so going back to Guernsey, this is curious. I've never actually had the privilege to go to the Channel Islands. I'd love to go. The way you're describing it is a bit of a wrench for people to leave the island, because if it's that kind of utopian paradise, I could imagine it would be. Is it Golden Sands kind of on all 4 or 5 corners, or?
It's a triangular shaped island, and there are beaches and bays all around it, and it's lovely. In the summer, it's lovely. I mean, in the winter, it can get a little bit bleak because the wind is always there. I grew up kind of pretty near the coast. But in the summer, if the weather's nice, the beaches are as good as anywhere in the world.
Really? Do you have is there a bit of a kind of tropical element to it, like very clear kind of turquoise sea?
It's a very cold sea.
Yeah.
But it is pretty clear. Yeah, it's pretty good, and the beaches are kind of they just kind of go out very gradually, and it's really safe to go swimming over there. On a lot of the beaches, and I mean, my childhood growing up, I just spent my entire summers on the beach, really, whenever I could. Not normally swimming, but playing cricket and football on the beach.
So, in talking of cricket, what position would you like? What were you, a batsman, a bowler?
Yeah, so I used to keep wicket. I could bowl, but I enjoyed keeping wicket more. And primarily I was a batsman.
Batsman, okay. So a wicket keeper and a batsman. And do you think if football hadn't have been one of your loves as well, do you think you could have played at the top level for cricket?
I'll never know that. I mean, I was quite good in the island, the standard that I was playing at over there, and I would have fancied my chances as a batsman. I had a pretty good eye for the ball, and with the right coaching, you just don't know. Until I never really, as a kid, I never faced 85 mile an hour, 90 mile an hour delivery. So it would have been interesting to see how I cope with that. But as you grow older, everything just gets a bit quicker anyway. So you adapt to it, and that's how I would have thought I would have done anyway.
85. That's 85 is Storm actually. Matrix, Awakening. Interesting. Yeah, pick those numbers. So, in terms of, so if you could have chosen, would you have, if it was just football or cricket, and you had the option and the clear option to pick one or the other to be a pro? You've obviously had a great. I think Gary Lineker said once that he wishes he could have been a top cricketer and he would have definitely chosen it over football. I just wondered, like, how much of your passion for cricket was there over football, or if there was.
But it's no surprise to know that I would have the opposite opinion of Gary Lineker on that. like we have an opposite opinion on many topics by the sounds of things.
Lineker's 74 as well, same as Shearer, Gematria, same numbers, interestingly enough. Yeah, but that's fun. So you would definitely stayed in the football camp.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, everyone's glad about that because we got to actually witness it. It's not hypothetical; it's reality. Talking of reality, Matt, I just wanted to pick your brain on this. I don't know where you stand on this, but I've been doing quite a few videos recently about the subject of time travel.
Right.
And it's a bit out there. But there seems to be, in my discovery with things like numbers and just kind of studying a little bit outside the box, having an open mind, and I know you're kind of that similar ilk and open to possibilities. Have you got any thoughts or opinions on that, or even experience or knowledge, or just do you think it's something that's possible? Maybe let's start off with that. Do you think that could be possible? I mean, it's in people's consciousness, and I wonder why.
Yeah, it's an interest. It's not really something that I've given a huge amount of thought to be honest with you. You see it in films and all that kind of stuff, and you kind of just think that it's a bit of a science fiction thing. And but I always think if somebody's got the creativity of mind to actually think about that in the first place,
yeah,
then there might be something to it, because otherwise, why would it not? Why would you be able to imagine it if there's nothing to it? Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
You know, if it's possible for your mind to conjure it up.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that there was something so much unknown about our minds, and I think there's so much more there to be tapped into. So I would never dismiss anything completely out of hand, because I just think the world is an amazing place, and things happen that are way beyond anybody's control. So, you know, why wouldn't there be the possibility of that? I would never rule it out completely unless, you know, there was concrete evidence to say it is impossible to do it.
I hear you. I mean, it's something I didn't used to think about too much prior to kind of, I guess, you know, 2020, things changing a lot. I mean, I had contemplated about it before. It was in films like Back to the Future, like, you know, you mentioned, it's in movies, it's in books, it's in science fiction, you know, Star Trek and Star Wars. I mean, they have warp speed.
One of the things that made me think a little bit along those kind of lines was the Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
Where, you know, quite a lot of people, way before he actually died, thought that he'd already died. And I'm talking, I think it was the president of I think it was George Bush who actually said it in an interview. And so strange things like that happen. And some people, when I was watching that little thing about the Mandela Effect, and they were explaining what could possibly happen, they mentioned something like some people believe that there are 51, that Hawaii became the 51st state in the USA.
Huh.
And when I grew up, I can remember as a kid thinking there's 51 states in the USA, not 50.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's a bit weird. I thought there was 51. and obviously, since I've grown up and it said it's 50, I just kind of went, oh, right, I must have got it wrong when I was a kid then. But then when I heard this guy say it, when he was talking about the Mandela Effect thing, I was like, oh, shit. Maybe I didn't just imagine it. Maybe and it does. Little things like that just make you think that that there may be other stuff out there that you kind of that we don't fully understand right now.
Yeah, 51st state. Now you're saying that I've got. I don't know if it's because you're saying it to me, but I can draw out some kind of things about a 51st. I knew 50, but there does seem to be some echoes of 51st state around as well. Because I'm not. How old are you, Matt, right now?
53.
53. Okay, so I think Jordan's 53 actually. So, but I'm 46. So that we're 7 years apart. We're not too far apart. So we're still in the same sort of vicinity. You'd be like an older brother to me. But yeah, 51st state. That's an interesting one. That is. There's been some other things as well. So something I picked up. I was in New York in September of last year. I want to say this year, but we're now in January, and it always seems to be speeding up and getting quicker and quicker. But that's probably another discussion. But I was in New York, and there's a hotel called the New Yorker Hotel. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's on 8th Avenue. And historically, Nikola Tesla, the scientist, he stayed and he lived there for the best part of 10 years, of a decade. And I actually got to stay in the Tesla suite. So when he lived there, it was 2 rooms together, kind of on a corner. And it was his living quarters plus his study. But now they've broken it into 2 units. One is the study and one is where he lived. So I stayed in the study for one night. Then a few nights later, I managed to get into the actual living quarters and stayed there for a few days. But he's talked a lot about the possibility of time travel and his inventions. And there's a guy that I do episodes with called 107, and he talks about other physics. So we've got the physics that we kind of deal with now, but there appears to be something called other physics, which is another set of possibilities and actual realities. Like you said, there's other things that we don't really fully understand. But the thing about Tesla, and interesting enough, if someone's been in the news recently, is Djokovic. He's from Serbia. That's where Tesla was from, and he's mentioned him in episodes. He did an episode with Wim Hof, the Iceman, not too long ago. I don't know if they spoke about Tesla in that, but Djokovic definitely did talk about Tesla in another episode he did. But the reason I mention that, so it's on 8th Avenue, and if you do the numbers on 8th Avenue, it comes to 125, which comes to time travel. Also comes to John Kennedy, and there's thoughts in some areas, and I'm quite a favour with some of that, that maybe even the Kennedys have been kind of involved in time travel, and that spills over to Trump. And I mean, if you do Emmett Brown in Back to the Future, he's the Doc. He's the doctor character that actually invented time travel, and he has a DeLorean. DeLorean is 74, which is gematria, which is the technical name for the numbers that I do. Shearer, we mentioned Shearer 74, DeLorean 74. But Emmett Brown comes to 148, and 148 comes to simple gematria, which is an extrapolated title of this number process I'm doing. But 148 comes to Donald J. Trump, and it also comes to time traveler. So there's a lot of, in terms of the numbers, which is kind of one of my skill sets, there's things that point to the possibility of that. And things like the Matrix, there's bits in the Matrix where they show the possibilities of time travel. There's a bit with the guy, I think he's the Keymaster, or the Keymaster, and he's on a train platform. He goes in one direction, and then you see him basically come back to where he started from. And I've had a sense of those things on a couple of occasions, and it's curious, and it's interesting. You've got the Mandela Effect, and there are things that maybe we can't pin the tail on the donkey yet, but we've experienced things, and we're like, hang on. And I was speaking to a guy, Ron Watkins, the other night with Rachel. His name's, he goes by the name Code Monkey Z. He's actually running for a position in politics in Arizona. But he asked the question, which was really interesting. He said, if you have time traveled, would you know that you have? And then kind of got into the discussion a little bit after off camera. I was talking to Rachel about it, and maybe if we did, maybe we would leave kind of Easter eggs or little kind of things to pick up later down the line, like you said about the Mandela effect. It's like, we thought it was this, but then it wasn't. But then it's like a paradox. It's like, how do you actually know? But it seems to be there are these little things in the universe, in the reality, in the matrix, whatever you want to call it, that seem to tend to point to the possibility that may be occurring. And I'm excited to know more about it, because I can't say, oh yeah, you do X, Y, Z, and this is what you get. I don't know how it works, but I'm open to learning and exploring it. So it's interesting your thoughts on it, and yeah, continue, please.
Yeah, I mean, I've always keep an open mind about things, and if I've always said if evidence changes, I'll change my opinion.
Yes,
and I think that's the most important thing, and that's one of the things that we've kind of lost a little bit, I think, over the last couple of years with what's gone on in the media and with the whole response to COVID and everything. And that's, one of the things that kind of stood out for me and made me want to actually go, I've got to say something. There's something not quite right.
Yes, yeah. And even in the so the nature of reality. I mean, I don't know if you're a religious man, you're a spiritual man, or you're definitely an open-minded man. I mean, what are some of your thoughts on the actual nature of reality, of like why we're here, what's it all about? From your perspective, your understanding, your feeling. It might just be a hunch. I mean, any things that you think could be the case, or even you believe may be the case of why we're here, what we're here to do, the point of it, I guess, the purpose of it.
Yeah, I've never really thought that deeply about the meaning of life.
Sounds like it is a Monty Python sketch, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've kind of always I've been pretty relaxed in my life, and I knew what I was good at from an early age. And I kind of just felt like I was put on this earth to play football and to put a smile on people's faces, letting them watch what I could do on a football pitch. And that's kind of about as deep as I've gone into it, really. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a particularly religious man. I don't go to church every Sunday. But, I go to weddings, I go to christenings, I go to funerals. And when you're in those situations, it does, I don't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In those situations at all. I know some people do, but I'm completely comfortable with that. And as you say, I'll always keep an open mind, because until you have undeniable proof right in front of your eyes, then I've kind of got to the stage in my life where I just go, well, anything's possible unless you can tell me and prove to me otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. And even like you say, in terms of the proof, if something is real, then I do believe it can be proved, and it may even be a different set of parameters that are pieces of the proof, but nevertheless they're there. And one of the things I discovered was the numbers early on in March of 2020. I didn't know about them; no one told me, but it was just something I kind of picked up along this way, and it's kind of just been a helpful tool to observe and connect a few dots for me from a personal point of view. Deja vu, talking of the Mandela Effect. So Deja Vu, I mean, that's pointed out in the film The Matrix, in the first one. Cat walks across and he's like, what's that? And I think it's Deja Vu, and the cat walks again, and they're like, oh, that's a glitch in the Matrix. It's it spins them off on a certain tangent in the story. But Deja Vu, any thoughts on what that is? Do you think that's maybe connected to the Mandela Effect, per se?
It could well be. It could well be in that family of stuff. But yeah, I've certainly, in my lifetime, I've certainly had moments where I've gone, hang on, I know this. I've been here before. And I go, no, I can't place it, but I definitely feel like I've been here before. I know this situation. And yeah, it's a little bit odd. And again, I've never really given it kind of more thought than that, because it's not a danger to me. I don't feel any sense of urgency or danger about a situation like that where it felt like I've been here before. So I've kind of just let it roll over me, really, to be honest.
Talking of being there before, and this is maybe a two-way perspective on this. When you're on the pitch, so the thing is, you're an artist on the pitch. You're a football artist, and you've given, one of your intrinsic gifts that you were granted. I mean, you had to apply yourself, etc. But you did have a superior gift with the ball. Did you feel, drilling it down to actually on the pitch, did you ever feel those deja vu moments that you kind of knew this is going to happen here, and you could kind of sense something that was about to happen, a few seconds beforehand, and then just execute it with your ability to do that?
Yeah, I think some people kind of just assume that you kind of read the game well. That's how they describe it in football. They go, "Well, how did you know that ball was going to go there?" And they'll go,
right.
"Well, you read the game well." And sometimes, you have to have a good imagination.
Yes,
I think that's the key. I think for being a creative flair type player in football. So I have a good imagination. I also have to, and sometimes, I can remember one particular incident which really stands out to me where I'd imagined that something was going to happen and it happened. And
I know what you're going to say.
Well, you might not. There's a couple of instances. So kind of the last goal at the Dell incident was kind of something that I just wanted so badly that I'd imagined it in my head to have happened so many times.
Yeah.
Leading up to it, and then it went and happened. But the incident I was going to talk about was against Spurs at White Hart Lane. It was when Ozzy Osvaldo was manager, and the Spurs had this team of like loads of forwards, and they just all piled forward. And we went and played them early on in the season, and we were drawing 1-1. Couldn't have been long left, maybe 10 minutes. And I think it was Jeff Kenner had gone down the right wing, and he popped a cross into the box, a low cross. So and it was, I was stood behind. Who was the lad? Stuart Nethercott, I think his name was. So I'm stood behind him.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 yards behind him, and the ball is kind of going in front of him, so in between him and the goal, and it's going to bounce about 4 yards in front of him, and so as the ball gets whipped across, I see the ball is going to bounce 4 or 5 yards before him. I see him, I see what he's doing, I see his body movement, and I see he's going to try and clear this with his left foot because he needs to get the ball out away from danger.
Okay.
But the pitch was quite wet.
Yeah.
So it was. We must have had a bit of rain that night, and in my mind, I'm going, once that ball hits the ground, it's going to pick up pace, and it's going to be really difficult for him to hit this ball. He might miss this.
Right.
Not just like not connect with it. I'm thinking a professional footballer with a ball coming at him is going to take a swipe at it, and he's going to completely miss the ball.
Shot.
Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
With professional footballers, it doesn't happen very often at all. So the ball hits the ground. I see him lift his left leg up, and the ball just gathers pace, and he completely misses the ball. And because I've already seen him missing the ball, I'm in a position, and the ball's coming quick at me now because it's picked up the pace off the ground. So I'm in a position now where I know the ball's coming towards me. And so it skids past him. It comes to me. I control it kind of with my upper thigh, and I just pop the ball and I side foot it into the net, and we win the game 2-1. And that moment still sticks with me now because I knew he was going to miss, and I don't know how. I have no idea how I knew he was going to miss it, but I pictured it, and I pictured everything that was going to happen. And so I put myself in a position where I could control the football, knowing he was going to miss it. It was really odd. Wow.
Do you remember roughly what year and month that was? We could look that up.
September the 12th, 1994, and it was a Monday night.
Okay.
It was Monday night football, I think.
September 12th, 1994. September the 12th. Okay, interesting. And that was a 2-0 win.
2-1 win.
2-1 win. So that was the winner.
Jurgen Klinsmann scored for them, and I scored a penalty and that winner.
Nice. Is that the? And I know Jurgen. He probably won't thank me for saying this, but I did a little piece with Jurgen in the summer. Actually, great player, great guy. And is that when you nutmegged him?
No, that was at the Dell. That was a different game. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't intentional. I didn't do that on purpose.
Okay. Just happened in the flow.
I miscontrolled it.
Did you? Well, that's very honest of you to say, actually. Because yeah. Okay. Talking of Alan Ball, obviously, people that don't know, Alan Ball was a World Cup winner for England, and he was Matt's manager, and probably the most successful time in terms of goal scoring and numbers for Matt's career. And this guy, Alan Ball, just really loved and recognised Matt as the prodigy of football that he was at the time. Sadly, Alan has passed, but that brings me on to a question, Matt. Talking of things like Mandela Effect, the greater picture of life, have you had any experiences where you felt that you've been communicated to from loved ones or beings that have passed on, or maybe not even ones that we knew in this life, but somehow some kind of special communication or contact of some description from people or beings that have passed, or maybe future beings, perhaps?
No, I don't really have any experiences of that. Although I did go, and I was in America on a golf trip with some mates, and we were bored one evening and just walking down a street, and there was a fortune teller.
Yes.
So my mate decided that we should go in and just for the hell of it, just go and have a go.
Yeah.
So he went first and told them all this stuff, and then I went in there, and I think she looked at my hand for the lines on my hands, and then she went. At this point, I got 2 kids, and I was divorced. And I had vowed at that point that I didn't ever want any more kids.
Right.
And so as she sat there, she went, you're going to have 3 children in your life. And I went, okay. And I walked out, and I said to my mate, I went, well, that's a load of bollocks. I said, I've got 2, I ain't having any more. And now I have a 12-year-old daughter. So I have 3 kids, and I look back at that and go, yeah, she was right. How did she know that?
Fantastic, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting you say that about a fortune teller, because I'd only heard, I'd never had any readings or anything like that. I'd never really looked into it much, but because of the nature of doing numbers and the show, Sight Club, etc., and now branching into the Ton Numbers show, top of your game, but with the element of the numbers. So there's a friend of mine and a fellow guest that I do episodes with, and her name's Janine. She's Canadian, Tarot by Janine. But I started doing episodes with her. Bryce brought me into her, and she actually interviewed me for her show on New Year's Eve, and it's a beautiful interview. But she's the I guess the person that has opened me to the possibility of things like fortune telling, reading, card reading, tarot. I really didn't know anything about it, but she is a world-class tarot reader. And even though I didn't know anything about it, when I was in her presence doing the show, and the number of shows we've done now, I could just sense like this woman's special. She's got some kind of gift, and the things that she can do and pull are amazing. And some of the things that she said, personally, because I'll get to ask her questions kind of off screen, and we'll do some on the show as well. She's really actually incredible. So that's fascinating that you met someone a while ago and predicted that you would have a 3rd child, which you have now. So yeah, it's one of those things that being open to. And the other thing about it, tarot, the word tarot, T-A-R-O-T, comes to 74, which again comes to gematria, which is the technical name for the numbers. And DeLorean, the time machine car in Back to the Future, 74, DeLorean, London 74, Jesus 74, Messiah 74, Muhammad 74, Tarot 74, a lot of stuff. English 74, simple 74. Your nickname was Le God, you know. There's lots of stuff, there's lots of things with it, but that's a fascinating thing. And one of the things that I sense with it is it seems to be that as we're going through this, people can call this whatever they want, you know. We're all having our own experiences of kind of since 2020 onwards, maybe even before that, people were kind of becoming aware of things. Some people have maybe been open to it for decades, maybe all their life. But definitely those that have had that kind of open, inquiring mind. But as the world shifted in many ways, and we all know what that is, but on the flip side of that, there seems to be this opening of knowledge and of understanding and of experiences. And I think that perhaps one of them, maybe with the tarot, is connecting with, dare I say it, the spirit world, you know, kind of other dimensional things. And I've had that in some of my videos, Matt. I'll be talking about numbers, and I'll get orbs of light appear behind me in the kitchen here, and I don't know that they're going on. And they're all documented on my channel. You know, people can see it, and my audience would say in the comments, "Tom, you've got an orb. Something's happening behind you," and I'll be like, "Oh, that's cool." And sometimes they're in different shapes. Sometimes they're brighter than others. Sometimes they're kind of more like a kind of a holographic circle, and it will move. Sometimes they're kind of brighter. Sometimes they're slower. Sometimes they move in a different direction. Sometimes they go up or down. But it's actually pretty cool and fun. And what they are, I mean, I've got my personal thoughts on it. But actually what they are, I don't know for sure. But I do think that they're special. They seem to be kind and enlightening. But that's fascinating about that example of when you just, you know, you're open to the possibility. And now you got your 12-year-old daughter, you know. So it is like the world is just a bigger tapestry than what we see, you know.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure. I don't doubt that at all. It's there's a lot of things that we don't understand. I don't know if there's people on this planet that do understand it and aren't telling everyone exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's a lot of stuff that is going on this planet that we don't know about just yet.
Talking about the planet, have you ever had any things with like UFOs or aliens or anything like that? Any things in the sky that you have recognised or thought, actually, that's pretty interesting? I don't know what that is, but that's pretty cool.
No, not really that I can recall. With, you know, most things could be explained away by aeroplanes in the sky. Really, nothing been crystal clear that I would definitely go, oh yeah, that's definitely something a bit odd. I've not really had any of that, but I mean, there's plenty of evidence around of that kind of stuff if you want to go and look for it.
Yeah. I'd never had any real experiences with it. I did when I was in Arizona, and I can't prove exactly what they were, but I did have some. I was having dinner with a couple of people that I knew, and one of them said, "Look up there, Tom," and she's pointing up to the sky. And Arizona apparently is a kind of a hotbed for that sort of stuff, that sort of activity. And there's planes moving around the sky, and there's some stars and things. But she goes, "Look at that," and it looks to me like a star or a planet just at first observation, but there's no twinkle, so it's kind of so you would probably call it technically a planet, but it kind of wasn't. It wasn't. But she's pointing at it, and it's just there. It doesn't seem to be hovering per se. It doesn't seem to have any kind of mechanical, elements to it, like moving slightly over a period of time. Anyway, she points to it, and then it just dims off, and then it comes back on again. I'm like, oh, okay. But she did this like 3 or 4 times and at different points in the sky. And I was like, she knows where they are, And I was like, okay. And it didn't freak me out, but I was like, well, that's interesting. And then she and the other lady we were with, they went kind of further out into kind of under the veranda of the restaurant that we were at. And I'm looking and I'm trying to film it. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to come back on. It's going to come back. And it didn't. It's just, so basically kind of when she did it, it would come on and off. I was like, okay, that's cool. I've never seen that. I've looked at the stars all my life. I love looking at the stars. But I've never seen that, And then a few nights later, when I was staying in Arizona, I would sleep. I don't know if you've ever been there, Matt, but it's a deserty, it's a desert. There's a different feel. There's a different energy there.
I'm just trying to think. Actually, I think it was in Scottsdale that I had the.
That's where I was. You had what? Sorry, in Scottsdale.
That's where I saw the fortune teller.
No way.
Mm.
Wow, that's where I had the experience with the lights on and off.
Ah, right, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's making more sense now because, Scott. I mean, that's where I was, and I would sleep here I sleep like a bear, when I'm asleep, but there I would sleep very lightly. So I'd be asleep for 15 minutes, wake up, go out the back garden, look up at the stars, look at Orion. So, that's great. And then I go back to bed, and I could do that 3 or 4 times a night. Go to bed for another 2 hours, wake up. And I didn't even feel tired, but I was like, it's dark. All right, I'll go look out in the garden. I'm here in Arizona. It's a nice clear sky. I'll do that. Yeah. But a couple of days later, after this first experience in Scottsdale, I looked up, and there's a constellation in the sky called Cassiopeia, and it looks quite like a W. So it's like a W. W is 23. I am in the numbers. But anyway, Cassiopeia. I'm looking up, and it's literally the first one I kind of come out that garden, look up. It's the first one I recognise. And there's 2 what appear to be stars in the constellation, but they seem to be brighter than usual. And I'm like, okay. And literally, just within a few seconds, I'm looking up, and then one of them slowly, well, not super slow, but slowly controlled, dims off. I'm like, it's one of them. Okay, so I smile. And it doesn't come back on like the other night they were coming back on, except when it was just me on my own, they'd dim off, and then that was it. And then I see the other one that's bright in the constellation, and that one dims off. I'm like, okay, that's 2 in Cassiopeia. I know what the constellation is. I know what I'm looking at. And they both dimmed off. I'm like, okay, cool. And I waited for a while, and they didn't come back on. And then I kind of went further into the garden, looked up at Orion, and still checked back to see if they didn't come back on. But it was incredible. It was like, okay, and it was subtle, but it was elegant. It was beautiful. It was simple. It was like, it didn't freak me out, but I was like, okay, something is lining up in that constellation of Cassiopeia, which I know, and now it's one switched off. Okay. And the second one's gone. Okay, great. I got that. And who or what that was, I don't know, but it was in Scottsdale. Yeah. And Scottsdale, if I remember right, I think Scottsdale comes from 118, the Storm, the Awakening, the Matrix. There's definitely something special about Scottsdale and Arizona. So hey, I didn't know that about your fortune teller in Scottsdale. You didn't know that about me. And this is not scripted, none of it is, but that's interesting.
I do know that you've received a text message on your phone on your WhatsApp just now.
I have.
Yeah.
Have I? How do you know that? Oh, because you just sent it to me. I'm recorded on here. Your message, because my phone that will receive the text message is what we're recording on. So I've okay, but well, there you go. You put fortune telling and being able to predict it. Was that what did you say in there?
It said I've got to finish at 5:15, mate.
Okay, brilliant. All right, buddy. Well, that's good to know. So we've got about 7, 8, 9 minutes left. We'll wrap up. That's when were you out in Scottsdale?
I've been there 3 times, I think, on golf trips now. I think 2000 blimey. It might have been 2006 or 7, something like that, maybe the first time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I love it out there. I mean, it's okay. I've done the numbers on Arizona, so I know what Arizona comes to 84, which comes to is an alien. So that phrase is Arizona 84 is an alien 84. Whether it is, whether there's that, I don't know, but I think there's something there. A lot of people have claimed. And you've had some kind of experience there. I've had some kind of experience there. And I think it's obviously probably in other places, but it doesn't seem to be a coincidence that one of the hotbeds is that area. And I had my thing there and you had yours. So That's pretty cool. Yeah, I miss it. I love it. It's a different world. Going back to football, Matt. You talked about the mindset. You talked about your ability and your. Well, we didn't talk about too much of the mindset. Maybe we'll go into that for a moment. But you talked about it genetically, kind of it, and environmentally. You were brought up with football and sport, and it was kind of just natural, and you had it in hereditary from your parents. Your brothers had it. What do you think? Like, okay, is there anything that you would have done differently? Not in terms of where you played with you, but if you could rewind your career, is there anything that you would do differently? Perhaps maybe to even get more out of your career. And I don't mean because people have asked you plenty of times about, oh, you could have gone to different. I'm not talking about that. Just something.
Yeah.
Is there something you know now you'd have done more?
I would probably have looked after my body a bit better.
Okay.
I would have probably fueled my body better than I did.
Okay.
So my diet wasn't very good for a professional athlete.
Okay. So nutrition, things like that. Alcohol, I don't know if you're a big drinker or not. I don't know.
No, wasn't a big drinker.
Okay. So you liked your grub. As you can see, I like mine as well. So that would have been maybe a tweak. Okay, got it. And talking about improving football, what things would you like to see improved in the game today? Like if you were able to have a direct influence and say, actually, these are some of the things that we could do and we should do and we need to do, and you had the power to do it. What if any changes, improvements, what would you suggest?
I would suggest that the guy who's in charge of the referees leaves and somebody else takes charge of the group of referees and mentors them better than what they're being done at the moment. I think there should be a ex-player in the VAR room. I like VAR if it's used properly. I think they could do with a set of eyes in that room from a professional footballer's perspective as opposed to just a official's perspective. I think that would help them come to better decisions on occasions.
Yes.
And I think the other thing I would like to see is the referees really clamp down on diving in the game and not letting players get away with diving without giving them cards, which has happened quite a lot this season.
Simulation. Right.
Yeah, very frustrating.
How do you think, it's interesting to say VAR comes to 41, so I knew that, I just double checked it, but 41 comes to dream. We've been talking about kind of the ethereal things of, past lives and Mandela. Anyway, dream. But going back to kind of grassroots football on the pitch, how do you think you could get people into ex-players? Do you think there needs to be more money put in? Because there's been the old argument for a while, you get ex-players being the referees and you get a better quality referee. And I think that, are you there still, Matt? Yep, there you are. Do you think if they made it financially more of an incentive for ex-players to go into refereeing, do you think it would attract more? Or is there another element to it? It's not just a financial thing.
Yeah, I think they're pretty well paid, the referees anyway. I mean, it's a decent wage they get. So I think the problem with it all is the time it takes you to go through the processes and go through the leagues and get your experience in to be able to manage at the top flight.
Okay.
And then there's an age limit as to where they think referees should referee until. And if a player retired at 35 and then did all his coaching badge or the referees assessments and everything, and goes through the leagues like they're supposed to, he'll only have just a few short years to actually officiate at the top level anyway.
Okay.
And so I think the only way around that is if you get professional footballers, perhaps 5 or 6 years before they're going to retire, to in their spare time to do that.
Okay.
Do that stuff, and then when they get to retirement, then they can become a referee in the top flight within the space of maybe 2 or 3 years, and that might make it more attractive. But I always felt like footballers, people fall into two categories. You either want to play football or you're not very good at it and you become a referee.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though you love the game, and I think that I don't think there's too much appetite from what I've seen of actual players wanting to be referees.
Yeah. So if we cut the barrier to entry, what are any other things that could make it more attractive? I mean, maybe promoting it, or because most, a lot of players, ex-players, will go into coaching. They'll be doing the coaching badges kind of the last few years of their playing career.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of promotion for it might be good. I mean, I just think that having good mentors for the current referees would make a big difference, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
There's a lot of referees who have, done their time. They've recently retired. They would have learned from their experiences, you'd hope, and that they could pass that on. And I think that's the one big change that I'll make in the referees department.
Okay. Well, we've got a minute or two before we wrap up, Matt. It's been a lot of fun talking with you. Thank you for your time and for sharing your kind of wider experience on things. And it's fascinating because I think a lot of us are beginning to think these types of questions, because the conditions we're going through if people so choose, it affords them the time and maybe just the finger, the kind of the finger on their pulse of their own life and their own understanding. Some of us are beginning to, I see it more and more people are beginning to ask kind of more out of the box questions. Okay, 1 to 11, all time 1 to 11, and you can include yourself in this if you want to. Who would it be? Who would be your goalie? And what system would you play? And who would those 11 players be?
Oh, blimey! Put me on the spot there. That would need a bit more thought. I would probably say as a goalkeeper, see, Neville Southall was the best goalkeeper I played against.
Okay.
I believe in my time. So I would probably say Neville. Obviously, I didn't see Gordon Banks play much. There was some wonderful goalkeepers with great reputations, but I can't give an opinion.
Did you score many goals against Neville?
A couple. Yeah, not many.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Then, blimey, you're looking at left backs. I don't know. Roberto Carlos springs to mind.
Yeah.
As a left back. Centre backs. You're looking at. Best centre backs in the world. I mean, I think Virgil van Dijk is the best centre back I've seen play in the Premier League.
Okay.
I'm sure in the history of the game there might have been better centre backs, but I think he, from my experience of watching the Premier League for the last 20 years, I think he is head and shoulders above most of the other centre backs I've seen. I think you would probably put in there somebody like Franz Beckenbauer.
Yeah, Franz. Yeah.
Right back. I think I'd have to leave the right back. There's not one that springs to mind straight away.
You can have three at the back if you want. You could have Virgil, Franz, and Roberto.
Yeah, we could. Because that'll allow me more forward players, and that's my speciality. Yeah. I know more about it.
Yeah.
Well, for a start, I would have to have in the team Diego Maradona, Lionel Messi, Zinedine Zidane, Johan Cruyff, Glenn Hoddle, who was my hero as a kid.
Nice, Glenn,
So I mean, there's 5 very forward-thinking players.
Yeah.
In terms of a formation, I'd have to struggle a little bit. So we've got 9. I've got 2 more players left in there.
Got 2 more, yeah.
Blimey, I mean, where do you start? I mean, there's so many talented footballers in forward positions down the years. I mean, the Brazilian Ronaldo, was just incredible. even somebody like Ronaldinho, who was just
nice,
an absolute magician on a pitch. I mean, so there's 11 players, but I mean, what formation you try and pick them in to make it?
You could have a rotating. You could have a rotating 7.
Yeah,
just, you know,
it'd be something like that. Yeah,
you could do it without, you know. Well, I guess you could have Brazilian Ronaldo as a 9, but he was much more than a 9, wasn't he? But that actually, yeah. I mean, Diego Maradona, Lionel Messi, Johan Cruyff, Zinedine Zidane, Glenn Hoddle, Brazilian Ronaldo, and Ronaldinho.
There's not many wing backs in that formation.
No,
I'm just
hopefully they're so good to keep the ball.
Yeah, I'm just playing 3-7 formation.
Yeah, 3-7. There you go. 3-7, 7-3, 7-3's number. Yeah, brilliant. All right, my friend. Well, Matt, as always, it's always a pleasure to talk with you and break bread, and it's been fun, man. And look forward to doing it at some point again. And God bless you. Thanks for all the work you're doing, and let's look forward to the future.
Yeah, a good one, hopefully, mate.
Good one. A good one's coming, man. A good one's coming.
Cheers,
thanks,
Tom.
Matt. God bless you. Take care, man. Cheers.
Bye, mate.
Bye. Gus, I've got a channel called Sight Club and I do numbers, numerology. I might have sent you one or two, but just simply, A is the first letter, so it equals 1. B is the second letter, so it equals 2.
Sure.
C is the third, equals 3. All the way through to Z or Z, 26. And I work out the codes of names, places, and there's some interesting things I've found about you that I'll share.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell here, aka Numbers, and this is the Tom Numbers Show, top of your game, in association with Sight Club, with my other channel. And I have my good friend and buddy, Mr. Gus Poyet, who is a soccer and football legend. How are you, sir?
Very well. Nice to be with you.
It's looking good. I love that painting behind you there, Gus. That looks fantastic.
Wife, when you used to paint, when we didn't have kids, when we were young, you know, those relaxing times that we had time for everything. Now you don't have too much time.
Those days, yeah. But it's beautiful. I love the red. Those of you that are new to this channel, this will be all about Gus's career and football. We might touch on a few other things. But the reason I'm known as Tom Numbers is I have my sister channel, which is Sight Club. And they gave me the nickname Tom Numbers because I do numbers, numerology or gematria. Gematria is the technical name. And those that are new, I'll just explain very briefly what it is. So if you think of the English alphabet, A is 1, so the first letter equals 1. B is 2, so it equals the second letter, which is 2. C is the third letter, so it equals 3. D is 4, all the way through to Z or Z for Zaragoza. Z is 26, the letter 26. And you can add up the codes for things. So that's why they call me Tom Numbers. And I've got some interesting ones for you, Gus. I'll start off actually. So Gus comes to 47 when you add it up.
Okay.
Because G is the 7th letter of the alphabet, so it equals 7. U is the 21st letter of the alphabet. And S is the 19th letter of the alphabet. So that's the order it comes in. But if you do Gus, G, U, S, that comes to 7 plus 21 plus 19, and that comes to 47.
Yeah.
Okay. And 47 is a very important number. It's a mirror reflection of gematria. So if you do 47 and you mirror reflect it, it's 74. And the word gematria, which is the technical name for what I'm doing, is actually 74. And in London, we're here in London right now at the moment. So London is also 74. So, and Jesus, I don't know, are you Catholic? Are you a believer? Are you?
Yes, I'm not practicing what we said. I'm not going a lot to churches and to mass, but yes, I went to Catholic schools and I got married in the church. Yes, so yes.
Okay.
I would say, the answer is yes, but you know.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a bit like
a little,
little, not Catholic, but a little. Yeah, but I believe, you know. So, but yes, 74 is gematria. But if you flip it back to the 47, which is Gus, it also comes to John. And John is a good biblical name. It makes me think of John Kennedy, like JFK, John Kennedy. But atomic silver, I don't know if you know this, Gus, but the atomic number for silver is 47. So it's also Gus. So there you go. So you've got silver. So you've got silver in your name as well. Yeah,
nice.
Silver in your name. And another thing that I noticed is when I was looking on Wikipedia today, I was looking at your stats. And in your career, you not cup goals, but league goals, you scored 125 goals. That's what Wikipedia told me. In league competition.
Okay. Yeah.
And today's date is January 25.
Oh.
Okay.
There.
Yeah. Probably when this goes out, it'll be a few days later once we've done everything. But the day of filming right now
it's true.
Is January 25, January 25th, 125. And Gus in his league career scored 125 goals with all of his teams.
Very
so
good.
And some other
sometimes we want to think that it's coincidence, But then when they come in too many, you start thinking, okay, what is going on here? I had a little bit of, we call it in Spanish like numerology or numerología.
Yes. Exactly. Yep. Can you still hear me, Gus? Have I lost you, buddy?
Yes, something happened there. I don't know. Something.
Oh, okay. You're back again. It's because you were telling the truth. That's why it paused.
No, it's probably, I don't know what is going on.
I can hear you again. We seem to be okay again.
Yeah, excellent, perfect.
Repeat, please, what you were saying. You said sometimes there's a.
I was saying, yes, I was in China for a year coaching, and they really pay attention to numbers over there. They are very, very important. The numbers, lucky numbers, unlucky numbers, and all this kind that we call in Spanish numerología, which is, I suppose, similar to English numerology, and something related to that. And then you start realizing. Until then, maybe I didn't pay attention too much to the numbers, but now maybe after tonight, even more.
There you go. And I noticed as well. So Poyet, P-O-W-E-T, comes to 81. 81 comes to some interesting things. It comes to tower. It comes to cousin. It comes to the name Tiffany. Or the luxury jewelers. I know President Trump has one of his daughters, Tiffany. Tiffany.
And the tower surprised me because I was a little bit like looking like a tower on the pitch sometimes.
Weren't you? You were this tall tower. Yeah.
It's crazy that during my career people didn't notice, but now I don't know why. When I met people. The first thing they say to me is, I didn't expect you to be so tall, like so big, like a tower or things like that. So yes, it got something.
Yeah.
Good.
So Poyet, Gus Poyet, is 47.81. 81 is also dollars, which is important money, And talking to the tower, do you remember this, Gus? The very first time you and me met, and we started our friendship, our association with each other, was in New York. It was at the soccer fundraiser, the Soccer Legends fundraiser, and it was actually on. I remember this because it was June 10th, and the next in 2015, and the next day, I met Ivanka Trump. The following day, and I got a picture with her. So I remember this, and it was not far from Trump Tower where you and me met. We looked out onto Central Park, and it was a wonderful evening. So there was Raul was there, you were there, Robbie Fowler was there, Peter Schmeichel.
Peter Schmeichel, yes.
Peter Schmeichel.
The other American, Reina, no?
Yeah, Claudio Reina.
Reina, yeah.
And also, was it McAnally? No, the Scottish guy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was Ali, wasn't it? Yeah. So I remember that clearly. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of good stuff. And back in 2015, but June 10th. Wow. So I remember that one. I remember that one clearly.
Yeah, Town 5. Okay.
Yeah. And then we've done, a few things in the past together. And so Gus Poyet, that actually comes to 128. And 128, it comes to a few things, but one of the things it reminds you of is Independence Day. There's the movie, but there's also the 4th of July in America, Independence Day. Probably other nations around the world have had Independence Day. It's a very important thing, very important thing. And even if you break it down, I met Ivanka Trump. You had Trump is 88, but you have 2020, so 220s that we, previous with the election. So Trump 2020 would be 128 as well. And you and me met right there, over Central Park. Central Park is what's that?
Was nice. It was a nice one, that kind of thing that you don't expect to do it after you finish your career sometimes, because you think when you finish, but then we were able to maintain relationship with the football, the associations or professional football association, and they always something has come up. That's why it's so important to maintain this relationship. So it's good. Yeah.
Fantastic. I was in New York actually in September this last year, 2021. So I was there, and I stayed in a hotel, but it was a tower. It was the New Yorker Hotel, which is famous for Nikola Tesla. So Nikola Tesla, the inventor, and they talk about how he could have found things like time travel and other other special things. Yeah, wow. And the interesting thing about it is the word time travel. Well, I should say two things. Nikola Tesla comes to 119, which comes to Central Park. And you and me looked out across that when, we were there at the function back in 2015. But time travel comes to 125. And you, my friend, scored 125 goals.
Okay.
And today is 125, is January 25. Yeah.
Good.
So it's really quite interesting. And you had on the back of your jersey when you would play, particularly for Chelsea, you'd have the number 8. And 8, like you said, in China is that resurrection wealth number.
No. It's very important. I would say that 50% of the reason why I went there, it was because I was number 8.
Really?
I didn't know until later on. Obviously, you don't want to be offer a contract because you play with a number 8 shirt. You want to get a contract because of you coaching, but when they check in the whole, like you say, person name and things like that, it was an important part of the final decision. Let's say if I had to make 2 decisions and I was number 8 and somebody else was playing with number 4, which is bad luck in there, they would say, no, not that one, we go to this one, it's number 8. So it was interesting to learn that later on.
Okay.
But that's what I said to you, the numbers are very important over there, yes.
Wow. So that was important. Okay.
It was important.
That's very interesting, actually. And the word China, you mentioned China. China comes to 80, comes to 35 when you spell it out. And I mentioned John Kennedy, like JFK, but John Kennedy, 125 time travel. But interesting enough, JFK was the 35th president of the United States, which was interesting. And I went to Dallas on my trip. So I was in New York in September, and then a little after that, I was in Dallas, and I saw where everything with JFK. So it's quite a sombering place, But I didn't know that they picked you a big part for number 8.
11 after, yes. Nice.
Wow. Yeah. I've got a question about. So I don't know if this is a rumor, but I'm going to ask you this. So I understood that part of the reason you went to Chelsea was because Maradona had said to go there. Is that correct, or is that another player? I thought it was you.
No. It was. I'll tell you the story because it came out in a different ways. There were 2 reasons. One is we were 3 players from Zaragoza, 3 finishing contract. Okay. And somebody put the 3 names into Chelsea, and they started watching us. One was a centre half, other one was a midfielder, and me. And they watched a game that we play first at Bilbao, where I scored 2 goals and we drew 2-2. That was good. Then they watched a game specifically, tactically, against Real Madrid that we lost. I didn't play well, okay? That's my opinion. But they were looking at other things tactically, and I was marking a lot. I played the Argentinian player called Redondo, where I tried to do my job.
Redondo, yeah.
Yeah, Fernando. And then they watch another game away from home, Deportivo La Coruña, where I played one of my best games, even if I didn't score. And the one that recommended me coming to England was Naeem. Naeem used to play for Spurs.
Spurs, yeah.
And he was, they kind of pushed me or give me the little final push to make the decision that, he was telling me, your characteristics are ideal for England, so you must go. And I was saying to him, I'm 29 years old. My kids are born here in Zaragoza. I played 7 years. I can renew my contract, extended for 4 or 5 years, and stay here for life. And Naeem was saying, no, you must go to England. And that changed my life, really, because I'm still here and the end of my career and the start of my coaching. So it was probably, if not the best, one of the best decisions I made in my career.
So it was Naeem.
So it was Naeem.
Okay.
Naeem, yeah.
Not Maradona.
No Maradona. I met him after. I met him before, no individually, but with other people around. And then I met him better when he came here to play very late. The first charity game of UNICEF, Robbie Williams, Old Trafford. I was assistant manager of the rest of the world team. And the main player in our team, the main player was Maradona. It's one of the best anecdotes I got with Diego.
Was that when you say that was UNICEF? Was that a Soccer Aid game?
Yes, Soccer Aid. The first one, the number one.
Who was manager, Gus? You were assistant.
Ruud Gullit.
It was Ruud. Okay, I was going to say I thought it might have been Ruud. Okay.
I was the assistant. The funny part of that is that through the game we got so many injuries that Ruud had to play a little bit. And then we had another injury, and I had to play as well the end of the game because we didn't have any more players. See, we were in pieces. But the anecdote with Diego, which I will remember forever, and I will tell everybody who loved Maradona, is we were in the dressing room because we didn't know if he was coming.
Right.
And he came the last day. So I remember we are all in suits, same suit. It was spectacular, everything we done before. And he's the only one who doesn't have a suit because he came the last day, so they couldn't make it, the last day.
Yeah.
And when we are in the dressing room, everybody English, and Diego no. So everything he needed, he will ask me. Like, Gustavo, can I have, I don't know, socks? Okay, so we'll ask for socks. Gustavo, can I have and I will get it, obviously, And after 3 or 4 things he asked me, he kind of say, and with all respect, everybody listening, I'm going to try to use correct word. He said, I'm really killing you, like breaking your, killing you because I'm asking you for everything,
Yeah.
And I turn, and my reaction, because what he meant for me, Maradona, was, you're Maradona. You can ask for whatever you like. I will do it. I don't say, yeah, but I'm killing you. I say, I don't care. I do not care. And it was spectacular. And then in the second half, there were rules in the game.
Yeah.
That you can only play at the same time 5 ex-players.
Yes.
Okay? And because, like I said to you, we were losing all the non-football players. And we didn't have any more players. So either we play with 10 or we needed to play an ex-player. So when they're coming from the English team to complain that we have 6 on the pitch, we told them, okay, you tell Maradona that he's coming out. He cannot play. We won't tell him. We make him come. He plays. And they said, but can we play 6? I said, play whatever you like. It doesn't matter. It's a game. It was full Old Trafford. But Diego was fantastic. It was incredible. I had him up in there. When I was young, I had another idol, another person I used to look at, Uruguayan player, Fernando Morena. He was playing, in a position where I used to play. But then when I was young, when I was coming into professional football, for me, Maradona was the best ever, the top.
Oh, yeah.
So to have that relationship inside a dressing room, that special, kind of situation, it was incredible.
Oh, yeah. He's what got me into football, Gus. I saw him in 1986 and I was like, wow. And I was playing it a few months before, but I saw him and just as genius and inspired me and many others,
Maradona playing nowadays or in the last 10 years, it will be, with all respect, and I love them both, Messi and Ronaldo, it would be over them by far. Why I say that? Because when Maradona played, there were so many tackles flying around and he got kicked badly many, many times.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember one bad tackle on Messi. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember one bad tackle on Ronaldo. I don't.
No.
And I do remember many bad tackles on Maradona, especially when Athletic Bilbao, when they broke his leg. So
yes.
the meaning is there were different times, difficult to compare, but I would like to say with the protection of the players that go today, with the VAR, when that Maradona would be unstoppable. It would be out of this world for me.
Yeah.
I saw him doing things that you would think they're impossible to do, and he done it in the 80s, in the 90s. So it's for me was the best ever. I didn't see Pelé live, so I cannot really make an opinion. I saw Messi and Ronaldo, and I think they are both incredible. But for me, at the top of my list, it will be always Maradona.
I can't think beyond Maradona. I can't think beyond him. I mean, I love Zizou as well, and I haven't seen Pelé. I've just seen video. Another
thing. Sorry to interrupt you, Tom. Is that Pelé played with unbelievable players in Brazil.
Yeah.
Maradona didn't really. Messi, when he was at his best, it was always in Barcelona.
Yes.
So we still kind of waiting to see what he's gonna do in Paris Saint-Germain to really put him into another consideration. Maradona done it. Argentino Juniors. It was unbelievable at the age of 17. National team of Argentina when he was under 20. He won the World Cup in Japan. With Boca Juniors, it was unbelievable. He went to Barcelona. It was unbelievable until they broke his leg. He went to Napoli, and as everybody knows, in Napoli he's God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, more than God, more than Jesus, and more than anyone. So we're talking about, and then he won that World Cup practically, and with all the respect to the other players, in his own, which never happened in football. So it's difficult to compare with the rest where they didn't, but listen, any opinion is valid, so I will stay with Maradona.
I think he scored, didn't he, in that charity game? He scored the penalty against Jamie Theakston.
Yeah. Obviously, we needed him to score. We needed the referee to give us something for Diego to score.
Yeah.
But it was, like I said, personally, like a person more than a sportman, it was special. When sometimes they ask you who you would like to meet and blah, 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 we always go to sport people first, at least me.
Yeah.
You don't go into an international figure or, Nelson Mandela or somebody like that. You go always into your sport. And I would say me, if you ask me this 30 years ago, I would say Maradona first and most. And then now the other person I would love to meet, I never see him live, I never see him, it was Michael Jordan. Because my second sport is basketball.
MJ, yeah.
And the best moment of my life watching basketball, it was watching Michael Jordan. So then, yes, we can go into other things, actors or Formula One or like I said, politicians or whatever. But in terms of sports, for me, those two, they are, and they will be always above everybody. I don't think anyone will beat them.
I'd have to agree with that, because I remember when Michael Jordan came out, and it wasn't, that Maradona and him kind of overlapped. I knew Maradona first, and then a year or two later, basketball got really big in the playgrounds here in England, because of Michael Jordan. And I've always thought that. I was like, he was Maradona of basketball, and he was fun to watch. He was inspirational to watch, the things he did. I've not seen anyone better than that.
I read 2 or 3 books about Michael Jordan. I watch, obviously, his documentary that people criticize. It's normal that people criticize. I think that we are in a world that if somebody doesn't criticize you, you are not alive.
Yeah,
you're dead. Normally we praise only people who are dead. When you're alive, it's always someone going against you. But it made me watch basketball. I stopped. I have to be honest. I stopped watching NBA a lot when he retired. It changed my mind. It was like it's not the same. And I recognize the new ones, the LeBrons, the Kobe. The incredible. But at that time, I think it's also the moment of your life,
Yes.
When you are, like I said, Maradona 80 something. So I was probably just before 20, between the age of 15 and 35, 40. That's the moment where you create your, sport people. younger, maybe it's an idol, like I said to you. But then, really, when you go into sport, and for me, that age, they were both in the best moments of their career.
Yeah, I have to agree. They're the best two that I've seen. Talking of football, well, actually, to stay on the basketball topic for a second, Gus. So I knew that you basketball was your second sport, and some in your family played basketball. But your height is 188 meters, if I'm correct.
6'2", they're saying here. 6'2", more or less.
Yeah. So 188, you're going to like this one. So remember we spoke about time travel, 125. You've scored 125 league goals. Today is 125, January 25th. And you were like, oh, wow, not coincident, time travel. John Kennedy, 125. So 188 is an important number because it comes to President Kennedy, 188. It also comes to Close Encounters, that famous film with the third kind. It also comes to Jesus of Nazareth, which is wow. And also we talked about Gus Poyet being dollars 81 and silver 47. Atomic 47 is Gus and John, but it also comes to the phrase "Show me the money." You know that Jerry Maguire film?
Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, so 188, your height comes to all those things. President Kennedy, Close Encounters, Jesus of Nazareth, and Show Me the Money.
Jesus of Nazareth is the most important. Well, Show Me the Money.
Which one's most important, you say?
I would say Jesus of Nazareth, yes.
Jesus of Nazareth, yes.
Probably, but the problem is that we are human beings. We will always think about show me the money.
Show me the money, yeah. Well, that's what makes the world go round, isn't it? But then if you've got something, you can be more like Jesus of Nazareth, I guess. So, but talking of, you did the comparison of Maradona and of Messi. And I remember talking to Peter Schmeichel about this a few years ago on the train, and he was like, he didn't really want to go with the question. He said they're both, and obviously he's got an affinity to Ronaldo with Manchester United. But I'm glad you've said what you think, in terms of Maradona. But I've always thought that Messi and Ronaldo are a little bit like a blend of the two of Maradona. So Messi, very similar the way Maradona played, but his character is more kind of reserved, more introverted. Whereas Ronaldo, I am the best, I am the king. But Diego had that feeling as well. He knew that. So he could kind of, almost like sexy football, he could turn it on when he needed to in the big games. And Messi's obviously done that as well. But I've always thought that those two kind of characteristics of Messi and Ronaldo kind of blended together were both encapsulated in Maradona.
Without any doubt, the similitude that everybody looks is the way of play, and that obviously left for the Messi position, Argentina, and blah blah blah. But I think it's like I said to you, I put everyone in their own place. For example, Messi, I think is natural. He doesn't really need to train too much his ability. He's got it, and he's gonna do it. It's incredible. You don't know what he's going to do. And if you know that he's going to go one way, it goes anyway, because he will do something to make you not go that way. You know how many times we say he's going to go to his left, he's going to go to his left, and he goes to his left anyway, even if you know. when Ronaldo is the example of somebody believing in himself, and working as hard as you can to become that person or that player, and that's a great example. I don't think it's too many people that pay attention to what he does to be who he is or who he was. I didn't do it, and I'm honest to say I didn't work as hard as Ronaldo. So how can you be that good if you didn't really work that hard? He really put the effort into it. I was very professional. I think the best part of me is not hitting the ball, or it wasn't, hitting the ball or this or that. It was being professional in the whole world. Whole world means looking after yourself, having a correct life, training well, eating well, caring, paying attention, respecting, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But he went to another level. He took football to another level, to the pre-training, after training, eating, recovery. The recovery that he does, it's amazing. You know, like things that we didn't even think about it in the 90s. So there is plenty of work. So like you said, you know, putting the two together, it will be, you know, a robot.
A robot, yeah.
A robot, yes.
An alien robot. So
Yeah.
Gus, that's interesting you say that. So Ronaldo, when I watch Ronaldo play, I can see he has natural talent, but I can see the effort that it's almost like people can almost, sympathize with what he's doing, because you can see what he's doing, but he does it at such an exceptional level. And with Messi, it's like Zlatan said it, and I thought it ages ago, that it's like PlayStation. It's almost unreal. It's like he's a bit off world. He's a bit like he's an alien or something. You know, something out of this world. Just the talent is just off the charts. Whereas with Ronaldo, his talent and his work ethic and his self-belief is off the charts. But it's kept him at, to use the subtitle of the show, is top of your game. He's been at the top of his game through all that. If you were playing now, so rewind the clock maybe 10, 15 years, and you were playing now, seeing the example of Ronaldo, do you think that could have perhaps inspired you to get another 15, 25% more from your game?
100%. 100%. I mean, if there is any player out there that is listening to us and he thinks he got the quality, natural quality, and he can keep working in different aspects of the game, and he pay attention to the level of work, suffer, and you know when you put that kind of football ahead of everything, really. He got a family and he has his life as well and enjoy his life. But he knows that he got 15, 20 years to play football at the highest level, and he must do what he does to be at that level all the time. He doesn't want to drop 1% of his capacity. And for that, he needs to go to training early. He needs to look after himself. He needs to do the right breakfast at the right time to be able to perform well in training, and then to do it after training, the right amount of food to be in the kind of form that he is. I mean, I remember when we used to take the shirt out to celebrate goals. Even myself, I was skinny. I never went to the gym in my life, to do weights. Other people were with a little bit of a belly, or other people were, like the bodies. He is like.
That was me in my football career, Gus, when I was in the Premier League with you.
But you try to paint an athlete to play football, and it kind of, you go to that kind of. I think Ronaldo is probably 6'1" or more or less 6'1". So it's a good size with tremendous power, big muscles, no fat. He jumps, he sprints, he recovers. I mean, he got so many things that you can work on it to a certain level. Obviously, technology helps nowadays. You got more control of all those things that when we play football in the 80s and 90s. But with any doubt, he will do more things, not to copy him, but to be better myself, because you cannot copy anyone. You cannot copy Messi ability, but it's just to improve yourself 1, 2, 3, 15%, like you said. And I think that is possible. So anyone who is listening, depending on your condition, depending on the characteristics, and depending on your life, if you can do that extra bit and look after yourself the way he does, is amazing.
What do you think in terms of metrics, like a percentage? What do you think it could have maybe, if you were now and you were being able to see that example and doing that same level over and above yourself, how much more do you think you may have been able to squeeze out of the natural talent that you had?
With any doubt, in terms of power, look, I also, depending where you play, and that was a big mistake from me, and I think that many people make it. I was playing in Spain, and to be honest, in Spain, I was strong enough to hold people with my body.
Okay.
Bottom line. No gym sessions. No, we didn't go to do weight, upper body weight. And then I came to England, and one of my first games, I think it's the first season, or the first season, we're playing against Dion Dublin. Dublin.
Yeah. Okay. Big Dion, big lad.
And he put his hand on my chest a little bit just to hold me.
Yeah.
and I couldn't move. It was like holding me like I was 10 years old, you know, like tremendous, you know, his power was, and I'm like trying to go forward, and I got this hand in here, and you're thinking, wow, I think I need to go to the gym.
Right.
You know, and I was already 29. I was not 19.
Yeah.
So then you start thinking, oh, maybe I need a little. Obviously, you're not going to transform your body at that age, but obviously as well, because of my size, if I go too heavy, then I'm slower. But with any doubt, there is certain position on the pitch that you need certain physicality, and I realized that late.
Yeah.
But because maybe I was playing all right in Spain, I was not needed. But in England, careful, you know, like so there is certain things that with any doubt I would do. After when I coach, funny enough, I went back to Spurs, and you start seeing how much the players they spend it on the gym.
Okay.
Things that we didn't do. We didn't know. That's why football went to another level as well. So probably my body would be different if I was a football player now, or if I was 20. I would be a little bit more powerful. That doesn't mean that you lose other things, but with any doubt, that would be different. Yeah.
And do you think you would have if you'd have done that? Do you think you'd have still played the same position, or would you have played maybe further up?
Yeah, with any doubt, because I when I started my career, I was always a main striker, no moving from the box, very static. The problem when I went to Spain at the age of 22, and it was a system at that moment that everybody was playing 4-4-2, and the two strikers, they used to move a lot, and I didn't. The coach said to me, I think you need to, go back a little bit and drop and learn to play in midfield. And I had a season and a half of working on my fitness, and working on my game, and working in a new position, learning. I was playing a lot back to goal as a number 9, and then I found myself facing the goal. So it was totally different game, and the box to box, in the first season that I started doing that, I struggled physically with badly. So I started paying attention to the fitness part more, and running more, and in games where in training where you there were not that running demanding, I was running anyway just to improve my fitness. But because if no, I couldn't play. So it was like reinventing myself because of the football that I needed to play in Spain. Maybe if I was only playing in Uruguay, I would play my whole career as a number 9, static, old-fashioned number 9 inside the box, and depending on the wingers crossing for me. So there is something on me that luckily I learned early, which was the fitness part, but not to that level because we didn't use the gym as much as the players they used today.
Talking of players, you mentioned we were speaking about Maradona. You mentioned some others. I wanted to ask you what your all-time, and you can include players you played with, and you can include yourself if you want. What would be your 1 to 11 of all time? Current players, previous players, any you played with or against, or anyone that's played football? Wow,
it's gonna be tough because sometimes you go always to the ones that you remember for some reason. I think in goal, probably I will pick one I play with and one I play against. Peter Schmeichel is gonna be there for sure. I think it was
Peter's mine. Yeah, he's mine. He's my one. Yeah,
it was incredible. It was different in everything. He was ahead of the game all the time. And then I played with one in Uruguay, which is called Fernando Alves, which, funny enough, I saw him playing a lot as a fan. And then I was lucky to play the Copa America 1995 with him as a goalkeeper when he retired from the national team. So it was like, imagine, you are young. I'm not saying a kid, a young 14, 15, 16-year-old going to the stadium to watch the game and seeing this goalkeeper and saying, wow, he's amazing. How he came and collected the ball and played, with his feet. And then 10 years later, if I was 15 or 10 years later, you playing a Copa America final with him in goal and you winning because he saved a penalty. So it's like, spectacular, no?
Wow. So that was it, 95. That's when you won the
95.
You won the
Copa
Copa America with Uruguay. Yeah.
So then right back, I need to say, I can say 100 I play with, but in terms of playing with and against, because I suffer him as a player as well, I need to go with Cafu.
Cafu
was 6 months at Zaragoza. He couldn't play because we were able to play only 3 foreigners, incredibly. And our right back in Zaragoza was amazing, a Spanish guy called Alberto Belsue. So let's say that the position of the right back between Cafu and Belsue, they were okay, but the one he was playing in my position, he was not as good as Belsue. So I took advantage of having a Spanish, very good right back for me to be able to play as a 3 foreigners. So kind of we left Cafu out as a team. It's incredible what I'm saying, but it's the truth. But then I played against him with the national team, and it was incredible. Cafu was spectacular. Central defenders, I need to put one that played with me, which is Desailly, Marcel Desailly. It was from another world. It was spectacular. It was big. It was professional. It was a winner. It was a man. It was someone that you wanted in your team.
He's a joker as well, isn't he? He's funny.
Yeah, it was nice.
I text with him sometimes. He's always like showing pictures of where he's eating and everything, and all over the place.
I don't joke with my wine. I like that one. When he had a red one, he said, I don't joke with my wine. The other thing I have is practically impossible. I mean, there is so many. The first one is coming is Maldini. I play against it was
Maldini,
the guy who so cool in everything he done. He was like he was able to be strong, quick, good on the ball. Like everybody say, the woman say, even pretty, always nice, always well. You play a defender, you should be bleeding and you should be dirty. So he was able to manage all that situation. Left back, oof.
He could have played left back as well.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with Roberto Carlos because
I
think the position of left back, when you go in the history of football, I'm sure that if you pick 3, Roberto Carlos is gonna be there for some reason, even for what he's done with the ball. It's difficult to think about other left backs in history that they are at his level. Then it depends. Midfield, it depends what we need for the midfield, because obviously you will pick always strikers. How I put in the same team Maradona, Messi, or or Ronaldo, or so many. So it's difficult to pick a midfield, but I will name to you a few. I think the best English midfielder I play against is Paul Scholes. He had everything. But like I said, playing in Spain, I play against incredible midfielders. I play against Guardiola, who I finished kicking him because I couldn't get him. When you were too close to Pep will play one touch.
Yeah.
But when you live in 3 yards, he will play 2 or 3 touches. So you will stop it to make you come, and then he will play. And you will think, okay, I'm gonna get you. And the guy I tried to get him, I wasn't off. I made a bad tackle on him and at the no camp, and I got my second yellow, and see you later. So I play against Laudrup, which was
Michael.
It was on the ball. It was like
it's a Rolls Royce.
Zidane kind. Yeah, it was.
Zidane and Laudrup.
It was probably one of the first players I seen passing the ball without looking. Like now it's so nice to say that Ronaldinho done it and so many people does it. But he was the first looking at that way and going bang, and you would say, how he did see that? It was no space. It was no way that the ball will pass. And on top of that, looking that way and making the pass the perfect way, it was class, we call it, so that
he do the spoon ball, wouldn't he, as well?
No, I suffer him. I tell you, I suffer the dream team of Barcelona when I was at Zaragoza. He was one of the main guys, and it was nice to watch him, but difficult to suffer him. Like it was terrible. Who else?
So you got Scholes and Pep in the middle.
Scholes, Pep. I would put Laudrup there. I would put. There is so many. I mean, it's like I said to you. I play with Francescoli. I play with Gianfranco Zola. Francescoli, Uruguay. When they ask me who is the best player you play with, I say Gianfranco Zola, because I was lucky to have him 4 years every day with me at training and a game. How I define him the best player I play with is because he makes me, during those 4 years, a better player. I was a better player with playing with Gianfranco Zola. And that's how good he was. Not me, him. So when
he's a lovely person as well, Gianfranco.
Yeah, it's amazing. When a player makes the players around him better, that means he's out of this world. Now, at the same, before playing with Gianfranco in '95, I played with Enzo Francescoli, which was one of the best Uruguayan players in the history, and absolutely top class captain, outside the pitch, inside the pitch, an unbelievable player, a proper leader, accepting responsibility. And I don't remember another player I play with. I don't remember, and I cannot name anyone who every time you get the ball and look up, he will be free to get the ball. Always available. Always. Sometimes you're playing and it's tight, and you need to look and see someone in a nice position to give him the ball. He was always there. He had an understanding of what the team needed to get away from difficult situations that it was amazing. So if I was training with Francescoli the same amount of time that I trained with Gianfranco Zola, it would be tough for me to pick one or the other. Okay?
Right.
But because I didn't have that time with Enzo, with the Flaco Francescoli, I had to pick Gianfranco. So like I said, then I need to put Francescoli. I have to. I need to put Gianfranco Zola. I have to. I want to put Laudrup. Then you say to me, I play against Maradona when he was in Sevilla. I need to put Maradona. How we made the team? We need a rugby team, 15. But let's say that around there, you will find that kind of situation. And then I'm being unfair with so many players I play with, but you cannot put them in there, so it's difficult.
So are we going for
we're going for Scholes, because we put one from here at the Premier League. We put Guardiola, we put Laudrup, we put Maradona, we put Francesco, and we put Gianfranco Zola. All number 10s, no strike.
Wow, that's a great team. That's a great team. That's a great team. Yeah.
All the best for the defenders, because Cafu is going to be overlapping and Roberto Carlos is going to be overlapping. So the defenders are going to be there. All the best, Maldini and Deja Vu.
That's a great team. I remember, I think it was, if I've got this right, it was Zidane said that Francescoli was his, Enzo was his favourite player, Yeah,
he named one of his sons.
One of his sons, Enzo. Yeah.
Enzo, because of Francescoli. Imagine.
And he played in Marseille, didn't he? Played in Marseille.
It's nice that you know that, because sometimes when I name Francescoli, people, they say, who? And I'm thinking, come on, he's the idol of Zidane, my friend.
Yeah,
to be the idol of Zidane, you need to be that high, Imagine, I don't know who was the idol of Maradona, but it had to be someone out of this world.
Yeah.
Because if Maradona was looking at someone better than him, imagine. So yes, it was a special.
You've brought something up, Gus. You said about people you'd like to have dinner with. So I think I'm going to incorporate this in some of the future interviews. So thank you for this. So top 5 people from history or current, they can be living still. Who would you like to meet at a dinner table? So it's you plus 5 others from anywhere.
Well, I want to pick the 2 that I told you first, because I think I had it. I was lucky to have it with Maradona, and I'm going to put it there because it was special.
Yes.
Michael Jordan, for sure. For sure. I so many things that I would like to talk about, life, sport, and so many things he's done. Then the other thing I would like to see, to be outside football, which is difficult. So I need to think about it, but there is always someone down there that I can find, because the problem is that I was so lucky to meet my idol in Uruguay.
Yeah.
I met him so many times. He was my coach, in my first year in Uruguay. So if I didn't know him personally, obviously I would put it there. But because I know him and I met him so time and he helped me so much, it's kind of difficult to have that willing,
Yeah. So that would be Enzo was you're talking about?
No, I would say I mean, Michael Jordan has to be there. Let's put people that didn't meet, okay? Michael Jordan is number one. It's not easy, eh? It's not easy because I was looking at some politicians, but I'm not a very good friend of politicians nowadays with the life that we live in. So yes, it's difficult to.
That's another
get
story.
one of them. Yeah, no, because if you asked me a few years ago, maybe I would say one of the main presidents of the world. But tough. I don't think I'll go too many. I cannot tell you too many. When I was young, I would say it would be easier. If you ask me this question when I was young, knowing the people that nowadays obviously wasn't there, but I would say probably one of the presidents of the United States, or one of the big leaders worldwide, or one of the, we call him in Spanish Madre Teresa de Calcuta, Mother Teresa. But that kind of situation was when I was young. Now that I'm a little bit older and not that religious and not that with politics and not that.
Okay.
It changed a little bit,
okay, I hear you.
So I will leave it with Maradona that I done it, and with the Michael Jordan that I didn't.
Okay, well that's still quite a table. We could be down in Kensington having a nice dinner, and you could call me up. Say,
no,
Tom,
it would be nice. Imagine the four of us. I mean, with Diego, you will have so many anecdotes. He's always willing to tell you a story, which is amazing. I don't know Michael Jordan, so I cannot tell you, but I will have 120,000 questions, because when you read a book, you will like to think that everything is in there is spot on.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, to sell the book, you need to put a few stories that people will be impressed by. And it's incredible. You can ask many people who read books from Michael Jordan. Maybe everyone will have a different thing. Me, the thing that impacted me, really made an impact on me of Michael Jordan is apparently one game away from home with Chicago Bulls. He was really ill. But ill means temperature bad,
against Utah Jazz.
And he played anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
But the meaning that they put in the book is that he thought in himself, there's going to be 20,000 people in there, and maybe they're going to be 1 or 1,000. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 1,000. That he paid the ticket to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't play because I'm ill, that person that is 1, for sure there were 1,000, but that person is not going to be able to see me. And he spent his money only because I'm coming to town. So I must play for him.
Yes.
And that is like,
wow.
If it's true, it's one of the best stories I ever had in sport.
Yeah.
Because I was ill many times, and when you cannot play, you cannot play.
Yeah.
And at that time, you are only thinking about if you can play or not yourself to help the team, or to help, to do what you do best. But to be thinking in that person, okay, you need to be that kind of player. No, people won't pay to see me only. But what I mean is, that mentality is to be that big, that important, that good, and to have that mentality is spectacular. I think
I remember that when he was. I think the games you're talking about is when they were playing Utah Jazz, and they're playing the final.
It won on the series that they take him really bad. I don't know if it's that one, but it's a point in the book. Like, it's interesting because he's thinking about that fan that maybe spent $500 because he got a ticket that he couldn't get. because Michael Jordan is coming to town and I must see him live.
Yes.
And imagine you get there and he's not playing because he's ill. And you go, what?
Yeah.
So if it's really true, or if it's really, it would be amazing to know by him, because I think it's a great point. And I think it's something that we don't realize sometimes when we play against the best. For example, I suffered Messi with Betis when I was a coach. I lost 6-2, and no come. After 40 minutes, we were 1-1, and I thought, hello, yeah. And then like we used to say, Messi woke up, and he went, bam, 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 see you later, game over. Like I said, what was that, Messi? Okay.
Yeah.
So I imagine that when Messi was going and playing everywhere in Spain, the people was probably going to the stadium that day because it was Messi there, and that's something special.
Yeah.
And you will like to see him in any condition. So I think it's special.
Yeah, that's a good point you said about MJ, because there's stuff now with sportsmen, whether they're going to play games or compete in matches or boxing. There's a few things right now flying around. Do certain athletes take time out? But what you're saying about MJ's example back then is pretty amazing, because someone might have saved up for many months to come and watch that game, and then if they cancel,
imagine
the normal man has to change his plans.
Exactly. So I think that's a great point for people to understand, especially when you are at that level, that you need to think about who is coming to watch it.
Yes.
Who is coming to see you, who is making an effort maybe this month financially to be able to buy that ticket and watching you. And it's something that obviously only the top need to think about that, the top players, because that's the one that you want to see.
Talking of mindset and philosophy, Gus, what's your thoughts now? I mean, you alluded to, when I asked you some questions, you said, well, when I was younger, I might have thought this, but now in terms of a positive outlook of life right now, we know what the world has gone through. We don't need to dwell on the negative side of those things. But from your perspective as Gus, today on 1/25/2022, what's your philosophy currently right now? I saw something on your WhatsApp and I was like, Gus he's thinking about a lot of things. What's your positive outlook on a philosophical side, from your perspective, Gus? I'd be interested to hear about that.
Me, it's quite simple and it's straightforward. When I need to do something, or I have to do something, I do it, and I don't care about anything else. I need to go and see my mom, I go to Uruguay, and if you make me go by boat, I go by boat, and I don't care about anyone. I don't care about any politician. I don't care about any people trying to scare me, any people trying to stop me. It's my mom, it's my life, and I'm looking after myself, bottom line. Then under the rules, yes, I comply to the rules if they have to comply, or the rules I think they are good enough to comply, and then the rest, because I think one of the things that when we are public figures, and obviously I am, especially in England, is that it looks like we are always living the life that other people want you to live. No, you cannot do that. No, you cannot do that. I go on the underground, and people say, what are you doing in the underground? Traveling? What are you doing? Oh, no, but I thought that you will be in a helicopter going from my house to Mayfair. I'm in the underground. Now, can I drive? Because it's normal, yeah. If I'm going to drive and it's going to take me 45 minutes and I'm going to pay that ridiculous congestion charge because somebody thinks that is good enough. Talking about politicians de nuevo. Again, sorry, de nuevo, that's Spanish. Talking politicians again and all of that. I go in the underground. I don't care. Now, so the idea is I keep calling my friends by nickname. And if somebody doesn't like it, I do not care. Me and my friends, we call ourselves by nickname. And if you don't like it, it's your problem. It's not mine. You live in your life, I'm living my life. Yeah. I'm not going to be looking about how you relationship yourself with your family or your friends. Because 4 idiots now, they don't want me to call my big friend Big Head because you got a massive head. I know that's bad. It's your problem is bad. It's not my problem. And he didn't have a problem for 54 years. He's not going to have a problem now. But we living in that life that people make us try to live their life, what they want. And that's unrespectful. It's funny what they say, no, because that's unrespectful. For who? For you. Okay. I won't call you Big Head. But if my friend is Cabezón, which is Big Head in Spanish, he doesn't have any problem. He even has his own name in the WhatsApp, Cabezón. So we don't have that problem. Now, don't make me be you, because I'm not making you be myself. I don't force you to call him Cabezón, so don't force me not to call him Cabezón. And that kind of situations are embarrassing nowadays, because of, it's the first time in the history of life that a minority like that, is managing the majority of people. I would say 2% of people who complain about all these new stupidity rules are making 98% living a life that is not the ones that we want to live. And I'm not accepting that.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, fine, it's your problem. But I'm gonna keep living my life, because I'm not gonna live the life that you want. You know, we don't know what is gonna happen tomorrow. And I don't want to live a false life with my people. I repeat. I never had a problem, and I got 2 or 3 rules in my life. One is respect. I respect everybody, and the people respect me fine. And if you don't respect me personally, you don't exist for me. You're out. See you later. Out. Yeah. I do it with people. I do it with chairmen. I do it with journalists. I do it with everyone. Professionally, we can have a disagreement. You can think I'm a good coach, a bad coach, a decent coach, or no coach. But personally, I don't accept any, stupidity. That's why I don't have social media. Because social media is being created for one reason, and now people is using it for a totally different one. They are using it only to be aggressive on other people, to insult, to be negative, to bring everything down. So I'm trying. That's the biggest thing I can say to you. I'm trying to live my life the best I can under the rules, respecting everybody, paying my taxes, but then not listening to those, minority that are trying to change my life because I want to accept it. I want.
Yeah. Talking of you said you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So one of the things that happened when you and me met back in 2015, the first time, my cousin Paul had died about a week before. And he died, and it was the first time in my close family someone of that age had passed. My grandparents unfortunately had passed a few years before that, but that was to be expected at some point. So, have you had any thoughts or experiences of what may be beyond life? Like, I mean, in terms of maybe connection with people that have passed, or thoughts on it, or experiences.
Yeah, no, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't think about it. I'm in the other. Right now, I'm in the other side. Is in the do as much as you can now, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm not thinking about that. I make an example. When people ask me about what is your best year, of your life, I know really you try to be, clever and think about your family or think about. But then you always finish with football. Like I say, 1995. I won the Winners' Cup with Zaragoza against Arsenal, and then I went to Uruguay, and a month later I won the Copa America. So in 2 months I was like champion of the world, But then I go, or maybe 2018, 19, I think it was 19. Yeah, 19 before the pandemic, where I went to Uruguay to see my family. I had a great time in there in the summer. Then I went to work a little bit in Qatar with the television. Then I took my wife that I promised 25 years before for a safari. And then I went back to Greece that I didn't go after I was there in 2016 to visit the islands that I was so close when I was there and I didn't visit it. And then 3 years later, I had to go back because I didn't visit when I was there. And I done so many things in 2019 without working. That was waiting for 20 years. The kind of you probably said, I would like to go next year to, I don't know, here I know next year, and then next year you say maybe next year, and then you never do it. I done everything in 2019. So
do it now. Yeah.
For me, 2019 is great. Now it's nothing to do with work, with winning football games, with making money, nothing at all. It was just to having the life that do the things that you want to do with friends, with family. I mean, it was amazing, and I'm pleased because I wouldn't like to be in a position where why I didn't. That's typical the human being. Why I didn't do that? Why I didn't do that when I had a chance? Why I didn't? I done it. See you later. And if I have to do something tomorrow again, I will do it, because that's the problem that we go in life. We're always thinking about what to do next year, and we never do it. And I recommend people to do it because life. I don't want to be dramatic, but it's the truth.
It is true. Blink of an eye, it's gone. Yeah,
it's the truth. I was trying to John Terry's wedding in a beautiful car that JT put up for us.
Yeah.
When my brother called me and said, you must come to Uruguay because dad is dying. Okay. And I couldn't travel that night. So I had to go to the wedding with that feeling. And next day I had to travel to Uruguay. It was the longest trip in my life.
Yeah.
Traveling all the way to Uruguay and when I was there, I got there, it was already dead, and it was everybody waiting for me, and it was a nightmare because you are so far. And then you start thinking, why didn't come the week before? Why I didn't go? And you start asking all those questions when you had the chance. I was there 2 months before, but what I mean is you ask more and more. Well, now I'm not waiting. If I can, that's the main thing, no? But I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting for anything. I just do it. If I can do it, I do it.
Well, Gus, that's probably a good way to conclude. It's been a pleasure talking to you, buddy. Thank you for your time. It's always great to see you. And I think probably the concluding message for people is seize the day. Just do it. Regardless of what's going on, because you just don't know. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So live your life.
Live your life today. We've got a problem in saying that. We think a lot about the past and we complain about the past, and we're thinking, what we want to do, but we never do in the future. Do it today. If you can't do it today, do it today. If you want to see a friend, go and see him. Spend the time. Doesn't matter if it's 3-4 hours in the car, go and see him. And if you need to, like I said, I would like you to go to the restaurant, but it's a little bit expensive, but you want to go that day to that restaurant.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you're going to say, wow, what a night. Don't tell anyone how much you spend. It doesn't matter. But that's the day. Or go to see the show, theater, or go to see the concert, or go, because when you realize it's gone. And it's no better things to do the things that we like and that we're always thinking about, either obviously the money or the time or how long it will take or what they're going to say if I go there. Don't. Just do it.
Do it. You just said it there. So that's a perfect way to conclude, Gus. You said, Tom, just do it. So do it comes to 48, which is my name, Tom.
Well done. That's it.
Perfect.
Good finish.
Thanks, Gus. God bless you, buddy.
How are you?
Good morning, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell here, aka Numbers. Welcome to the Tom Numbers Show, Top of Your Game, in association with Sight Club. And I have a fantastic guest with me today. It's Mr. Sven Göran Eriksson, the former England manager and manager of many football teams such as Lazio and Roma and Manchester City. And me and Sven have known each other for a long time. Sven, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you, sir?
The pleasure is mine. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Yeah, very good, very good. So what I do on the show is it's the podcast. It's about numbers, numerology. So, for example, A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it equals 1. B is the second letter of the alphabet, so it equals 2. C, 3, etc., all the way through to Z. So we'll talk about football and your career, but I'll notice a few things in the numbers which just makes it a bit different, a bit interesting. So that's what it is. That's why they call me Tom Numbers. That's the nickname they give me.
Tom Numbers, okay.
Tom Numbers, you got it. Yeah, Tom Numbers. Brilliant.
Okay.
I wore a T-shirt for you today, Sven, London, because
London.
you used to live in London and very close, actually, just the other side of the park. I live on one side of Regent's Park, you live on the other, or you used to live on the other.
I lived at Park Village East, very close to the Regent Park, a beautiful place.
Yeah, amazing place, amazing place. So, as we mentioned just before, Sven, when I talk about numbers, a lot of my guests will know that A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it equals 1. B is the second letter, it equals 2. C, third letter equals 3, all the way through to Z or Z. I add up the numerical value of the word. And the proper name for numbers, numerology, is gematria. Gematria equals 74 when you spell it, but it also comes to the word London when you spell it. So I thought it was appropriate to say that. And the word English, because you used to be the English football manager, English is 74 as well. So it's just a little bit of interest there, Sven. So it's very fun. Yeah. And I also did some numbers for yourself. So if you do Sven, the word Sven comes to 60, which comes to diamond. Göran comes to 55, which comes to JFK JR, as in the Kennedys. 55 also comes to heaven. Eriksson, you'll like this one, Sven. It comes to 110, which comes to Marylebone. Marylebone, which is the area, Regent's Park. You were on the Camden town side, but Regent's Park is Marylebone. It's also president, and you used to be, kind of the honorary president of the FA because you were England manager, etc. So all of those things. But add them together, it comes to 225, which comes to, interestingly enough, it comes to time travel, time machine. So I thought that was interesting. And also your birthday, both you and me are born in February. February comes to 96, which is spaceship. 5th comes to 49, which is yes. Add them together, comes to 145, which comes to numerology. So February 5th, your birthday, so 145, which comes to the word numerology, which is a form of what we're doing today. So that's interesting, Sven. So I thought I'd share those things with you. But anyway, that's just a little taste of the numbers. So let's ask you a question, Sven, about your career and about football. The subtitle of the show is Top of Your Game. You've mentioned many times that in football, you believe that it's a big part of the game is the mental preparation. You even talked specifically about maybe one of the things you would have done differently with England with penalties is to take a mental coach. What are your thoughts on the mentality of the game in football and how people and players can prepare better for mentality?
Well, I think today most sports using a mental coach. And football is one of them, even if I think football was very late with it. But today, I think most of the big clubs, they have a mental coach working individually on players or working in group with players. And you had a very good example when you talk about penalty shootouts. I think that's 90% a mental game when you come to these, because it's life or death. You are in or you go home. And normally when you're talking about the Euro, World Cup, its stadium are full, television, millions of people. And of course, when you walk from the midline until the penalty spot, how many thoughts going through your head? Because those guys who take that penalty, technically, they score always on training. But you can never train it, because when you are in this situation, it takes too long time. You have to, you got the possibility to think too much when you walk, and you shall take it. And you can only lose. Of course, you can win if you score, but you have everything to lose. The goalkeeper, he has everything to win, because you don't really expect the goalkeeper to take a penalty. But when they do it, they got heroes. And you expect the player taking the penalty to score.
Yes.
And if he doesn't, it's... so this is a good example for mental coaches to take part of a football team. But I think also in other occasions, you have those kind of players. In training, they are very, very good. In friendly games, they are very good. They're scoring, they have confidence. When you come to bigger games, they can't handle it. And that's mental things.
What would you say, Sven, in your opinion, is one of the best players or best teams you've seen that had that mentality? Because the whole thing of teams practicing, very flash players can do everything, but on the pitch, when it really matters in finals, you know, who have you seen that is one of the best or was one of the best mentally?
Well, in my career, I had one Swedish player and I had one player from Croatia. The Swedish player, that was many, many years ago. Torbjörn Nilsson was his name, and he was fantastic in training. He was probably the best striker I ever seen, I've ever worked with, I would say.
Really?
But when we came to games, he failed. He was nervous. He was afraid to do mistakes and things like that. So I asked him if he wanted to have a mental coach to work with, because I told him I can't do anything more with you. And he accepted, and in 6 months he became probably the best striker in Europe. Liverpool wanted him, Roma wanted him, German clubs wanted him, and so on. So that was thanks to a mental coach. I had another one in Lazio, Alan Boksic.
Yes.
Fantastic player in friendly games and training, scoring for fun.
Yes.
He came to games, and for my first year in Lazio, I think he scored 1 goal in the whole season. And he missed 100, I guess it was. The same there. I spoke to him and invited him into a mental coach. And after half season, the season after, when he worked with a mental coach, he had scored 10 half season. I think he was up in 18 or something. He almost was he was not the best goal scorer in the league that year, but he was very high. And that was the same there. He became another player by working. And I'm sure that there are a lot of players out there we look at every weekend, and national teams who has the same experience.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So one of the things, Sven, I remember that you're, well, maybe not so famous for, but when you were, you're from Sweden, and I read in one of your biographies that you used to be a ski jumper.
Yeah, a bad one.
A bad one.
Yeah, I was like the eagle. What did you say? The
Eddie
English.
the
Maybe a little bit better if you compare with others. But, yes, I was a ski jumper and was competing on local, the part of Sweden where I'm from, and also in Norway a little bit. But that I started when I was 8-9 years, and I finished when I was 15. And I was not really that good, but it was winter time, and the winter time in Sweden at that time, we didn't have any indoor football pitches. So there were no football winter time. You had to do something else if you wanted to do something in sport. So it was ice hockey, cross country skiing, and ski jumping.
Fantastic. Well, if you do the phrase a ski jumper, which you were, it actually comes to 1, 2, 3. So 123. So I thought I'd share that one with you. But the reason I bring that up as well, Sven, is because that must take a certain mentality. It shows that people see you as Sven as very calm, and that seems to be one of your attributes. Under pressure, just always remain calm. But you also have this element where you can take risk. You can do kind of potentially dangerous things, but you can associate the risk and balance it out and take the action anyway.
Yeah, I know. But Tom, I think it's very important to know that if you want to start ski jumping, you cannot start when you are 30. Okay. Because you would never do it. It's too scary when you're standing up there and you know that you're going to fly 50, 60, 70 meters or things like that. You don't start with that when you're adult. You have to start with it when you're a young boy and you are not afraid of anything. And I started when I was 8, I think it was.
Okay.
Because if you never have tried it, if you go up there high, and looking down, it's scary. I don't know if I would do it today. But it's great fun to fly. It's beautiful.
I can imagine that. When I watch it on TV, it feels like you're flying. It does feel like that, but to actually do it as well is incredible.
Yeah.
And that says as well, what that leads me to think, Sven, is your consciousness, your mentality. It must be of a certain caliber, at least when you were young, and then you took it into adulthood. But another thing that I read is that you always believed you would be England manager.
No, Tom, but...
Is that not true?
No. I believed when I started to be 20, 25, and especially when I stopped playing football because I was not good enough to be a good professional footballer.
Yes.
Then my dream was to be a professional manager, coach. Okay. And professional means outside Sweden, because at that time, I'm talking about late 70s, early 80s, football was not professional at all in Sweden. Everybody worked and then they played football. Okay. So my dream was to come out, but no, to be England manager. I never ever thought about it because I knew that was impossible. And before me, it was impossible. So no, I never dreamt of it, and I never thought I should have that job. Never.
Okay, I must have misread that. Then I thought it was in one of the books I read a long time ago that you always felt you would become England manager, but I must have misunderstood or misread that. So,
I think that was a dream too big to be true.
Okay, but it came true. It came true,
It did come true. Life is beautiful.
It is. Life is beautiful, Sven. And I mentioned the word consciousness. Another meaning for that is if you spell out consciousness, it comes to 175, which comes to Diana Frances Spencer, interesting enough. So Princess Diana, her full name. But I thought that was interesting. Consciousness 175, and life is beautiful, and she was a beautiful woman, and still her spirit, lingers. So I thought that was beautiful. And talking of things that are beautiful, I mean, You love beautiful women. I love beautiful women. I met Ivanka Trump in 2015 in Manhattan. Got a picture with her. And what's your advice in regards to women? Briefly, what would you suggest?
Advice.
Women are beautiful. Any advice? You've gone out with many beautiful women in your time. Any advice? Any thoughts?
No, not really, Tom. I mean, you think certain women are beautiful. Maybe I think the opposite. I don't like those who you like to be beautiful. So
yes,
but
yes.
that's very, very personal. What kind of people you like, and so no advice. No, I don't have any advice. I'm not the right man to give advice about that, I think.
Okay.
Let's keep to football.
Yes. No, I wasn't going to go for that. It was just you said the word beautiful, and I just thought, in terms of life, though, in general, what are some of the mottos, some of the principles that you try to espouse in life and in football, and so maybe life and football are intertwined, they're inseparably connected. What's your kind of main foundation principles?
Yeah, but I am one of those who think life is beautiful.
Yes.
And I don't think we appreciate it always. When you wake up, you are healthy.
Yes.
Maybe you have a job to go to. In my case, I have a job, but not on full time anymore because of my age.
Yes.
But life is really beautiful. But you have people around the world to try to do the opposite of life. And we have Putin and his gang over there today. And I'm not afraid to say it public. He must be crazy, stupid and crazy. Because what he's doing, that's absolutely awful. And I really hope he never, ever comes back to political power or whatever it is. Biden said something the other day, and it was controversial or whatever it was. I think it was the best thing Biden ever said in his life. He said that this guy cannot be in charge anymore, and he referred to Putin. That's completely right. That's what 99% of all people in the world thinking, but they don't say it. So what Biden said there, that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's not the first time we have other people starting a war because of petrol, because of gas, because of money, because of power, because of whatever. But it's absolutely crazy. And I'm sure that 99.99% of people in the world, they don't want a war. We don't. We want love. We want to have a beautiful life, and we want peace, and we want football. We want whatever we want. But the last thing we want is a war. And still 2022, in Europe, one nation, soldiers killing people. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And as a human being, we have to do everything we can to stop it. Putin, just stop it.
Well, hopefully, Sven, we'll have peace very soon, and maybe in time we'll learn even more truths about the world as a bigger story, as a bigger picture. And we want peace. I agree. We want peace on Earth for 1,000 years. We want to go into this millennial period where everyone lives happily with each other. And I totally want peace, just like you and the rest of the world. And you mentioned as well your age. You said I looked up, if I remember rightly, because your birthday, 5th of February, you're age 74 right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So another link to the numbers. 74 is London, 74 is English, and 74 is the word gematria, which are the numbers. So I thought that triggered it. So there you go. It seems appropriate. That
incredible, Tom.
Exactly. It's incredible. And talking of beauty, football is described as the beautiful game, Sven, as you know, and as many people will know. So I wanted to ask you, what is your 1 to 11 of all-time players that you would pick if you had a dream team, and it can be players that are playing now or people that have played in the past, and some of them may have died.
Then Tom, you have to phone me back next week, and I will prepare that, because I had so many.
Okay.
But if you phone me in 1 week, I can make an English team.
Yes.
Against the rest of the world team, and that will be a lot of good football players.
Okay, that's part 2 for us there, Sven. That's perfect. We'll do that for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. 1 to 11 of all-time English players, and 1 to 11 of all-time.
But now I'm talking only about players I had as a manager.
Yeah,
with players I managed.
Okay, so you there
will be 2 extremely good teams. I promise you, Tom.
Okay, let's do that, Sven. I'd love that. That would be fantastic. All the England players you managed, 1 to 11, and then rest of the world players. Okay, you're on. That's part 2, Sven. Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
And another thing, Sven, is outside of football, what are some of your hobbies and interests? People would maybe be interested in knowing what kind of other passions do you have. Football is one of your passions, for sure, and beauty in life and having a good life.
I exercise more or less every day, walking, running, playing paddle, playing tennis, going to the gym, swimming a little bit.
Yes.
Because I feel physically good, but even more mentally when I do it.
Yes.
I'm not trying to win any big games or big marathons or things like that. I do it just because I love it, and I feel very well doing it. Other things, I like to read, especially memories and historic things. I'm looking at news and football on TV. Very seldom I look at a film or something like that. Okay. Before the Corona, I like to travel. But Corona killed most of the plans, and I've not really come back to it. But I will start to travel again, and I have some speeches here and there, which I like.
Yes,
I have a good life, and I'm very happy, even if I'm not sitting on the bench of England or Sweden or Liverpool. I'm happy anyhow.
Before we go, Sven, like we said, we'll do the 1 to 11 for your team, England team, and rest of the world next week. But other than yourself, who do you think that maybe Manchester United will hire as the new manager? Anyone you think, if it was your job to pick, do you have a preference on who you might go for, or who you think could go for?
That's a difficult question, very, very difficult. I always thought for months that United have the manager they have now. It's for just the rest of the season, and I thought they had one already in the back of the head. It should be strange if they didn't.
Yes.
I don't know who it should be, but I mean, I know one who for sure. I don't know if it's going to stay in the job he has, Mancini. He was considered one of the best coaches in the world some months ago. When he won the Euro. Yes. Now, I don't know if he's going to stay in Italy because they were knocked out. They will not take part of the World Cup, which was incredible. There you have a good name, for sure.
Roberto,
but I don't know who. I think the board of United will decide, and I hope they do it right, because United has not been what people expect United to be since Sir Alex was there.
Yes,
and that's a long time now, and they tried many different managers with okay results, but not the Manchester United we saw with Ferguson during, I don't know, a lifetime, more or less.
Yeah, a lifetime, yeah. And talking of Ferguson, I think there might be other people who've done it. I don't recall any. You played him 3 times, I believe, and you won 3 times.
Yeah. I guess I'm the only one.
Yeah, I think so.
We were, maybe we deserved to win all 3 games. One was with Lazio, the European Super Cup. We won 1-0. And then twice in the derby city against United. And of course, there were big games and a lot of expectation. And the big favorite at that time was United. City was not what City is today. Yes. But we managed to win twice, and that was very, very good. Of course. Good for the fans, because I think at that time for City to beat United, that was probably the match of the year for many fans at that time.
Oh yeah, well that would have been at that time. It was probably like winning the league.
Today it's more normal.
Yeah, today it's more normal. And just before you go, Sven, we talked about managers. You talked about Roberto Mancini. Obviously, Gareth Southgate. So Gareth was one of your players. I know Gareth a little bit. You probably know him better. Actually, interesting enough, the word manager comes to 59, which also comes to Gareth. So it seems appropriate that he's the manager. But my question is, did you see Gareth as a potential manager when you had him as a player? And did you ever see or feel that he could go on and become such a success that he has done with England?
Well, yeah, maybe, because he was a very serious guy when he was a player. I'm talking as he was as a player now.
Yes.
Very curious. I think he noticed in a good way, I think, everything we did in training. So if you had asked me at that time, maybe yes. I think he showed that. And in my past, I had Mancini, for example, and I knew that he should be a manager, for sure, because he was thinking football 24 hours a day, always. And football was his life, and he asked, why are we doing this? Can't we do like this? And things like that. Then I had Inzaghi. Now I'm talking about Italian football players.
Yeah.
And I never thought that he should be a coach, but he became Lazio coach. Now he's Inter coach. So you never know who's going to be a coach or not. But Southgate, yes, I would have said yes.
Okay. And what about Wayne Rooney? So when Wayne became a manager, that was a surprise. But he's doing very well at Derby.
You have to remember that I had Rooney when he was 17 and... well, I guess until he was 22, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And if you had asked me then if he would be a coach, maybe not. But he's doing well, and I really hope that he will be successful. And I met him last year, or this, I don't remember, last year. And he's a grown-up man today, and I think he's doing a good job. And I really, really hope that he will be as good manager as he was as a player. Then he will be very good.
Yeah, of course. I saw a quote yesterday, came up on YouTube, I think from the Sun newspaper, and he basically said he was offered the Everton job, but he turned that down and he wanted to stay with Derby, but he wants to keep it so that he can prepare himself at some point in the future to be Manchester United manager. That's what he wants to do.
Well, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for everyone who wants to be a manager that don't go too far, too quick.
Yeah.
It's very important to learn. I'm sure that Rooney has nothing to learn about football on the pitch, but a lot of things around to be a manager of a big club, to be a manager in any club. But if you are in a big club, of course the pressure is there, and you have to handle not only players, you have to handle the press, the media, supporters, sponsors. It's a big job if you talk about United. Huge job.
How do you handle pressure as a manager, Sven? How do you handle it?
Well, I think you should prepare yourself that life in football is beautiful and it's very tough sometimes. But that's football, that's sport. And you know, before you take any job in football, you will not win every game. That's absolutely impossible for any team in the world. You can win big trophies and you can miss it on the last game, or you have a bad season, and that will happen. And then it's very important and stand up and don't be too worried. Stick to your principles normally. Try not to change every time you are criticized, because you cannot change every month the system of playing and things like that. Try to do what you think is the right thing. But you never know what's happening in football, and that's why people go in there and look at it.
That's it. That's why it's so interesting. It's always different. You never know necessarily what's coming, and that's what keeps it such an exciting and passionate and intriguing game for all of us. So
yes,
Sven, it's been a pleasure this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
And,
we speak next week.
We'll do next week, part 2, and you'll have your all-time England team and all-time
I will prepare
World 11. What's that?
I will prepare myself, I said.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you,
right,
Tom.
Sven.
Take care.
God bless. See you next week. Take care, Sven. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.